Ooh, jeebus.
That makes a big spike on the waveform. So when I'm lining up the video and the audio, I can see the
spike.
That's audio on this side and bloop, put them together. It makes it a lot easier. That's what the clacker thing is.
Oh,
you
okay.
see in movies
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
That makes sense.
Okay. So who are you? Who's this guy?
Oh, my name's Michael Tisdell. I've known, I can't even remember how long I've known you. But yeah, we've been really good friends for quite a long time. But yeah, I'm 34 years old, dude. Got a kid, got a wife, got a house. Yeah.
You've grown up in this area. Like you've lived here pretty much just about your whole life, right?
Almost. I grew up in Orange County primarily. So I was born in Rhode Island. We moved down to Florida back in 92. And then I grew up in Orange County for several years. We moved into Lake County in 2012.
Okay.
And that's where I've pretty much established my roots because I haven't left Lake County since.
Yeah.
So I've been here since about 2012. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
About 12 years. Good Lord. Dude, I'm getting old.
It happens to all of us, man.
It does.
Like I'm 36 now, and I don't feel all that old,
Until you try to go do something, and then your body's like, "Hey, dude."
I have moments for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, it happens, especially post deployment though. Like the weirdest thing is having both of us were in the Warrior Transition Battalion. I do remember that, and then after that. It's like try to restart your life. It's just so weird because you got the mental ability to do all these things, but now you've got that physical limitation that creeps up sometimes. And it always makes things very interesting. Try to do something that you thought you could do back, try to do it now. Good luck. Dude.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, because that would be what happened late stages of our deployment, where were you at when you decided you wanted to join the military?
So I was 17 at the time, 16, 17, somewhere in there. And it was funny how it transpired. I was in high school and my dad, when I came back from school that day, he's like, "Hey, here's a pamphlet. I think you should go talk to the Army guys." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Well, why?" He goes, "I figured it'd be a good idea for you, something to do." So I started looking into it and sat down and talked with the recruiter. And he said, "You could do the delayed entry program. You go in, for your summer break on junior year. You go do basic, and then when you come back from that, you go to high school, do your senior year, and then after you graduate, you go to AIT and you do your thing." So I brought it to my dad. I was like, "Hey, this is something I'm actually kind of interested in." And he goes, "No." I was like, "What do you mean no? You told me that it was a good idea. This is your idea." He says, "No, I don't think it is." And
the Obi-Wan meme. This whole thing was your plan.
Yeah, but it ended up happening. Obviously, I needed his waiver to join the Army, and from that, I went to basic in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. God, I don't remember what year. I want to say it was. I graduated in 08, so it was 07, summer of 07. I went to basic in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and came back from basic and thinking I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, every Wednesday at our high school at Cypress Creek, we would have ROTC kids dress up in their Navy stuff. And back then, I don't know if you remember, but you could get $1,000 for everybody that you referred into the military. Mm-hmm. So you got $1,000 if they passed basic and $1,000 again if they passed AIT. So I think it was a SMART program. They've done away with it since then. But I would show up in my ECUs and try to recruit kids. Like, "Hey, dude, join the Army. It's awesome." But yeah, that's what led me to joining the Army. I mean, it was just a spur of the moment type thing. My dad.
So you really had no thoughts about military beforehand or anything? I
mean, the way I tried to pitch it to my dad is like, clearly I'm not going to go to college. It's not going to happen. I was like, "I don't know. It's just something to do." I said, "Oh, get me a decent skill set that I can transfer over to the civilian side at some point." So, I mean, it's a win-win. Okay, signed the paper, off I went. And he loved it when I first came back, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I was waking up, the first week back from basic, I was still waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, making my bed, sitting on the end of the bed, like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It was nuts.
When you spend 3 solid months doing the same thing pretty much every day.
Again.
Yeah.
It was nuts, dude. But I look back at that stuff and it just, it's crazy how time flies. It's nuts. Because I don't even remember I don't even remember like my life after basic, if that makes sense. Because I went through junior year of high school, did that, and then summer break was basic, and then I don't remember my senior year of high school. But after I graduated, I remember AIT.
Yeah.
So after basic, everything was a blur.
So at that point, do you think maybe you were just like, I just got to get through this year, and then I get to AIT, and then I start my real life?
Yeah, so I thought.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
I mean, it's understandable. You know, you're a kid, you know, and
very young.
You went through basic already, and you kind of have a game plan, and you know, like the only thing you can focus on is like when you get to that. You know, it's like being in basic or AIT. Like I can't wait to get out of here. Wait till it's over.
And then it's over, and you're like, all right, now what?
Like, wow, that was 3 months. That didn't take that long.
Not at all.
It felt like forever in the middle of it.
Dude, it felt like an eternity. And I think I was one of the youngest kids there in my basic class. And we had this dude. I could have swore he was like part of the mafia because of his last name. Because we don't call each other by our first name. This whole last name stuff. This dude's last name was Smalls, and he was the biggest dude in basic. I mean, he was built like a brick shit house, and his last name was Smalls. It was just the irony of it all.
Yeah.
But I do remember bits and pieces of basic that I thought were absolutely hilarious. So when we did our field training exercises, if you remember, we did the 1 day, the 3 day, and the 7 day FTX. So we were out on our 7 day FTX, and my battle buddy was this specialist. I don't know he's private white. Yeah, private white. He had the IQ of a doorknob, and I think his MOS was fuel specialist. I think is what they gave him. And he got in on a waiver, had to, and we're out there and we're setting up our hooch, and I'm pulling security. Drill sergeant's coming around making his rounds. I'm checking around. And then I get my ass chewed. He goes, Tisdell, what the fuck? I was like, yes, drill sergeant. He goes, you going to let your battle buddy set the tent up in an ant pile? I said, drill sergeant, I'm on security. Boy, I got smoked for that shit. This dude put a tent pole in the biggest ant pile I've ever seen when I was in South Carolina. And he proceeded to like try to put that sleeping mat down. And he's in there laying on it, crawling on it, putting it in there. And then he goes, Tisdell, ow, something's biting me. The drill sergeant came by right as that was happening. And I got chewed out for it. I got smoked for it.
Yeah.
He's like, you set your battle buddy up for failure. I was like, dude, I didn't know. Like, I'm none the wiser. He ended up getting, we had to switch battle buddies because we had to do that drill where you have to pull him to safety. And I couldn't pull him. He was fat. He was a big dude. And the drill sergeant gave him to Smalls, the big dude. And they ended up being really good friends. But, my battle buddy was like this. It's like, I was like, I can pull this guy, no problem. But, yeah, basic was a trip, man. We had 3 drill sergeants. We had Drill Sergeant Pico. He was our E5, EOD guy, crazy as shit. And then we had Staff Sergeant Lee. He was funny. And then we had Sergeant First Class Johnson in our basic. And we were Echo 213. So we had a moment where Drill Sergeant Lee had gone for 2 weeks. I guess he had R&R or something. And we were out at the range doing rifle qual. And Drill Sergeant Pico comes up with Drill Sergeant Johnson with all the other brown rounds. And they're like, who can do an impression of their drill sergeant? And before the sentence could finish, everyone pointed at me. They're like,
because you're the dude in the barracks making fun of drill sergeant.
That was me. And I didn't learn my lesson in basic. I'll tell you later, I got busted again at another point in my life. But I used to be able to do a really good Drill Sergeant Lee impression. And he was just really skinny black dude, infantry. And this is back when they didn't care what they did. You know, they would smoke in front of the privates. They didn't give a shit. And he would go on our ability group runs, and he'd have a cigarette in his mouth, carrying the med pack, the CLS bag. And he had left, and then I got outed by everybody, so I got pulled out to the front of the whole company, sitting in the bleachers, and they're like, let me hear your impression of Drill Sergeant Lee. And I did it. And about 3 weeks later, Drill Sergeant Lee comes back in from his R&R, and he kicks the bay door in with the drill sergeant's shoes. He kicked it open. Everyone's like, at ease. And he goes, fuck that shit. Where Tisdell at? I said, oh, shit. I dove under my rack, and he grabbed me by my ankles, and he pulled me out. And he goes, I heard you do a motherfucking impression of me. I was like, 40 rounds, drill sergeant. He goes, let me hear that shit. And I did it. And he goes, all right, carry on. And he fucking left, dude. Like, welcome back, dude. He kicked the door. It was so funny. Everyone's just looking at me like, dude, you didn't get smoked for that? I was like, yeah, I'm surprised too. Like,
make drill sergeant laugh, man.
You're halfway there.
Most of the drill sergeants I had, if you can make them laugh, like, you were golden. And I'm pretty sure it's a prerequisite to be just out of your mind to be a drill sergeant. Because I can't think of any of them that I had that weren't like seemingly totally insane.
Dude, Drill Sergeant Pico, I remember this too. We did the mount training where you come up with an attack plan as a unit and you go invade this village, and it's all Connex boxes. And Drill Sergeant Pico got tasked with being with our team. He wasn't too enthused about it. So we go up there. I'm the door breacher. So we get in the stack and we do the 1, 2, 3 rock, and then I go up and I kick the door open so hard that it's on springs. They're not real doors. So I kicked it open so hard. It slammed open, hit the plywood, and then slammed shut. And then Drill Sergeant Pico goes, what the fuck? Just lightly kick it open. I was like, all right. So I tapped it open. He was the first one in the door. We made entry into this Connex box, and we're starting to sweep. And he pokes his head around the corner, and there's a range safety right there. And inside the middle of this room, I cannot make this shit up, was an engine block about as big as this table with 3 wires coming out of it, like just draped. And first man, you're dead. Drill Sergeant Pico goes, by what? And the guy goes, this is an IED. Drill Sergeant Pico's EOD. He goes, I've never seen a motherfucking IED look like that in my fucking life. This is bullshit. And he laid on the ground. He threw his rifle. And he's sitting there with his arms crossed. He looked up at me. He goes, well, fucking go. So,
you're squad leader now, bud.
Yeah, he's like, fucking go. And we ended up clearing the course. And then we did the AAR for that meeting, that mission right there at the back of that Connex box with the range safeties. And they said, hey, this is what you did right. This is what you did wrong, whatever. And Drill Sergeant Pico got into it with that range safety about that damn. I'm telling you, dude, it was every bit of as big as this table. With 3 wires coming out of it. He took it personal, man.
You couldn't have made it look a little more believable.
He was fired up, man. I've never seen a man so mad in my life. We had, I just remembered, on our one-day FTX, we're marching out into the tree line. And the drill sergeants are checking on their people. And at this point, it was Drill Sergeant Johnson who was coming up to the front. And I'm on the left column, and then there's the other column. And I'm carrying my M16, and I'm on patrol, sweep, whatever. He comes up, and he's looking over at me, talking shit. He said something to me, and he goes, don't you like, I don't remember what he said, but it was something to the effect of, don't you fucking quit, or whatever. And in the process of looking at me, and the time of day, it was like just before sunrise. He's looking at me talking shit. He trips over a fucking root. Dude, he ate shit so hard. But he turned it into a combat roll and started doing push-ups. And then he said, he got up, he said, who the fuck laughed? And then nobody said shit. But it was so funny, man. Just to see that man just talking shit, trip, do a combat roll and start doing push-ups. That's out of nowhere. It just fucked me up. Like, dude, what the fuck? What is this place? Oh my God, dude.
We had one guy, trying to think back, Drill Sergeant Lyons, I think his name was. I had got moved companies. So like we started and then had to get split up because avian flu or swine flu or something.
Oh yeah, I remember swine flu.
They had to separate everybody, put more space between their barracks, their bunks and all that stuff. So I got moved to a whole nother company, a whole different building. So I only knew this guy for like, I don't know, 3 days. And in that time, I saw him sit on the end of dudes' bunks like a gargoyle while they're sleeping. And they would wake up and see him perched on the end of their bed. And he'd just be like, shh, go back to sleep, private. And you see guys like pull their blankets up over their head like, okay. Yeah, wild.
Oh my God. Those blankets, dude, were terrible. They were either way too itchy or way too small.
Yeah.
There was no in between.
Pretty much the rough side of a sponge, but a blanket. Yeah.
Just big enough to get right up here, maybe. Just kind of, if I curl into a ball, I'll be able to get covered from head to toe.
So I was curious, you had mentioned you were probably one of the younger ones because you did the delayed entry. And I remember when I was in basic, that made things rough for a few guys.
It did.
How was that? Did you experience being treated differently or anything?
Well, not differently, but I got in trouble a lot because 17 years old, immature, don't know, like, don't have that life experience of like, hey, these are the questions you should be asking, and these are the questions you definitely do not ask. And I think a majority of the people in our company were in their 20s, and we had a few that were 30 plus. Mm-hmm. Like, they were just on the cusp of, hey, the cutoff age is 40. I think it was 45 back
41,
then? 41, something like that. But they were right on the cusp. I mean, they were gray in their hair and stuff. And we had 4 or 5 of those. And a lot of the jokes that I would play, that they didn't really find it very funny.
Yeah.
So, and rightfully so, because they were taking it serious. And I'm thinking, this is just summer camp. I'm out here to shoot guns and do some fucking crazy shit. I'm here for it. But yeah, I got into it with a couple of them. Just because of the way, I'm stupid. I didn't.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say you're a kid at that point. Yeah, you're 17. Yeah. Everybody wants to be like, 17, 18, you're an adult. Like, legally, sure.
Oh, of course.
I'm pretty sure that I didn't really learn how to be an adult until my mid-20s, at least. And some people far beyond that, So being 17, I mean, I was 20, 19, 20. I had just turned 21 when I went in. And so, like, I was kind of in between those guys who had families and not quite as dumb.
Yeah.
So I got in fights with the 17-year-olds, because they would always get us in trouble, and we'd be doing push-ups because, they wouldn't shut their mouths and stuff like that. So that's why, I'm curious, because that's one of the things one of my hopes with this is to put out things and information like people don't hear about. You hear about infantry guys and you hear about war heroes, and their stories should be told, absolutely. But I just don't think a lot of people realize how nuanced the experience can be, depending on going basic. Like you say, you got guys who are in their 40s going through basic. Can you imagine how much harder it is on your body, even if you're in fairly good shape? I
tell you what, man, there was this one guy we had, I can't remember his name for the life of me. He was an older gentleman. And he outran most of the young kids. I mean, he was there for a purpose, and he wanted to get after it. He didn't waste any time, man. He was up and at 'em. There were some young kids, though, me included. I wasn't in the best shape of my life when I went. I mean, I passed a little joke of a PT test at the recruiter's office, and he's like, "You're in good shape. Keep it up." And I got my ass handed to me. But there were some kids there that were worse off than I was. So I like that. What's that old expression? You don't have to outrun the bear. You just got to outrun the slowest person in your group. I mean, as long as I could stay ahead of somebody, I was out of the crosshairs, and I took it. But no, I never really got treated any differently. Okay. But I did get a lot of almost smacks in the back of the head, but they didn't do that. They had taken that away, unfortunately. Oh my goodness.
So you're in basic.
Yeah.
17.
Mm-hmm.
You make it through, I assume. I
did. Yeah.
Yeah. We were in the Army together. So I would have figured that happened.
It's all a scam.
Yeah. You go to AIT, and where did you go to AIT for?
I went to Fort Eustis, Virginia, I want to say it was. Yeah, Fort Eustis. I went for a transportation management coordinator, and that was a pretty cool get up.
I forgot about that. So you were transportation management coordinator, but then you ended up, which is 88 November.
Yep.
Which is what I was. But you did, what was it, hotel?
Yeah, 88 hotel.
You ended up doing a lot of the hotel stuff. Were you dual cert, or did you
I was. Yeah, we had a deployment come up in 2009, and I had a whole bunch of stuff come out at one time that prevented me from going on that deployment. But one of the requirements were 88 hotel. And I went to that AIT in 2009 area, and it was with Sergeant First Class Norman. I don't know if you remember him. Yeah. Not Norman, sorry, Simmons.
Yeah,
the Jamaican guy.
Yeah, Sergeant Simmons.
Yeah, I ran into him not too long ago, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, funny guy. But I went to that, and then
so that'd be kind of rough. Basic AIT. I'm sorry. Did you basic back home?
Yep.
And then AIT. And then you're home for just a little while, and then back to AIT again.
Back to AIT. But the good thing was it was prior service, so I didn't have to go.
You got to live in a different barracks and just show up for school.
Yeah. Thinking back though, I probably would have loved to stay with the IET people, like the you're not MOSQ yet, you're just fresh from basic. I would have loved to stay with them, because the barracks we got, dude. Oh my God. They were covered in asbestos and
Yeah.
mold on the stairs and all sorts of stuff. It was bad. It was so bad that we had to get the mayor cell out there. Like we had to get, I forget who we brought out there, but I know it was the mayor cell came out and Sergeant Simmons actually was like, walk up here. He said, you stay at the bottom of these steps. And with the way the steps were, there was a window and the light would come in behind you. And he goes, I want you to look at my feet when I walk up these steps. And every step that he took, it was just like powder.
Mold spores.
Yeah, mold spores and stuff. And she was like, oh my God. Yeah, we got to get you guys new barracks. And we ended up getting new barracks. But yeah, man. And we were still out there at Fort Eustis too. That's back when the transportation school was still there, the schoolhouse. Yeah. But they moved it up to...
What year did you say that was?
09.
09. I'd have to look at the dates. Because, no, you might have been in school for your second AIT when I was in my first. Because I was at Fort Eustis as well. And they had to move a bunch of people around because they had, like, Swamp Thing growing out of the vents.
Yep.
Of all the mold and stuff.
So the barracks that you were in AIT, was it like in a... Have you seen The Walking Dead? And... Yeah, some parts of that where it looks like an industrial complex. You got two huge buildings opposing each other in a big courtyard.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, it was like almost like you had the office here, and then it would go into this long building, and then on this side it was the courtyard. Across from it was another building. On this side there was a green trees, and they had a sand pit. They call it the beach. Was that the building you went to?
That sounds real familiar. My memory has gotten so terrible.
That's where we were at. And they had the female bay on one side, actually separated, I believe, completely all together. And then you had the male barracks. Yeah, that place, dude, it was a shithole. Dude, it was that.
Did you have hot water?
I don't think we did.
If we didn't have hot water.
I didn't think we did.
In the middle of winter. Yeah, it's snowing outside. We didn't have any hot water.
They didn't care. Here's some Pine Sol. Go out there and mop the floors.
We were taking showers. We'd like hop in the water for a second to get wet and then soap up and hop back in to rinse off.
It is the worst. Did you guys have any holdovers there when you were?
I don't remember. Like I said, my memory is real. I remember bits and pieces, but I've lost a lot of stuff.
Dude, I remember some of the most fucked up shit for some reason. We had a group of holdovers. There was 3 or 4 of them that were absolute shit bags. You could tell they were shit bags in basic. They weren't going to go anywhere. They had CQ and Firewatch, and it was on a rotational basis. And I got stuck on CQ / Firewatch. It was roving type thing. So I'd go up and down the halls, make sure people doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the drill sergeant Streeter. I'll never forget that guy, staff sergeant at the time. But he had the regular patrol cap because they took the brown rounds out. And he didn't like that shit. So, anyway, he's like, hey, listen here, high speed. There's a room up there on the 3rd floor, 2nd or 3rd floor. Is this room number? It's full of dirt bags. He didn't call anybody a piece of shit. His thing was dirt bag. He said, there's a couple of dirt bags in there. I need you to keep an eye on them. If they're doing anything stupid, you come get me and let me know. I said, roger that, drill sergeant. So we're up there. I'm doing my rounds, poke my head in, and this dude's got a damn air can inverted, and he's huffing that fucking air can. So I fucking go down there, knock on the door. Drill Sergeant Streeter, we got dirtbag. I said, they're doing something they probably shouldn't be doing up there. And he's like, all right. So we go up there, and that same private, I guess it had already hit him at this point, climbed out of his window facing the tree side of the building, and he's standing up there with just his PT shorts on, shirtless. And he's like doing, he's like shouting, and he's just saying he's going to jump.
Wow. The
MP showed up, ended up taking him in. It was nuts. We had a couple of shitheads out there, dude. And they were just like terminal, like you're going to ETS here in AIT, bro. You're never going to graduate. We had a couple of those dirtbags over there, man. It was nuts. But Drill Sergeant Streeter, I'll never forget that guy. It's so fucking funny. We had an incident where you had to, if you had passed, you had to check in with the on duty CQ sergeant. Hey, I got a green pass. I can go over this way, and we're going to take these following people. And you say, all right, go ahead, do your thing. Just make sure you sign out. And we checked in with him. We checked in at the CQ desk. Where's Sergeant Streeter? Oh, he's out back at the beach. And I'm like, okay, I got to go talk to him. So I brought me and a battle buddy. We went back there. And he's smoking the shit out of this guy on the beach. And he's just standing there with his fingers like this. Head back to the side. Walk up. Drill Sergeant Streeter, What do you want, dirtbag? And then this guy in the pit, I mean, he is covered. He looked like a sugar cookie from all the sweat. It's a beach sand. It's the beach sand. And in between sentences, like he'd interrupt me. It was funny. I'd be like, I drove on the street, or I got, and he'd look over his shoulder and go, front, go ahead. And then you look over in the pit, and there's this dude fighting for his fucking life. And then Dressage Streeter just back. What do you need? Go. And this dude is just, I mean, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that image in my head. And I'll never forget Drill Sergeant Streeter. We had another drill sergeant there. I forget his name, but he had this weird, like, voice, almost like a lisp, but it wasn't as, like, pronounced. So we'd be out there in formation doing accountability. And when you were there, they had red pass and green pass, right? Mm-hmm. So they had it where I was there. So we were in formation, and we'd get the briefing from the commander, and then he'd come out from the back of the formation and go, red pass grenade, and he'd throw it like this. And it's like everybody in that area, you got red pass. And it was just so funny. I'll never forget him or Drill Sergeant Streeter. Well, I forgot his name, but I'll never forget that incident. It was the funniest shit ever. Red pass grenade.
So what did you go to? For those who might not know, the transportation management coordinator versus went to 88 Hotel. What's that called?
Cargo specialist.
Cargo specialist. Yeah. Okay. And can you give me like just a brief what those two jobs do or what they are?
Well, the transportation management coordinator is essentially responsible for all the paperwork side, making sure labels, RFID tags, and equipment dimensions are correct. Mainly for the I forget their name, but they hand it over to I-codes. And I-codes make sure everything fits on the ship and based on weight and dimensions. And cargo specialists in the schoolhouse portion are the equipment operators. So they pick up the 20-footer containers, the 40-footers, or they use forklifts and they tow vehicles up and on the vessel. And the hotels are responsible for blocking and bracing and chaining down vehicles. But that actually doesn't happen. So the same thing with transportation management coordinators. Now we're just glorified double checking documents. That's it. We don't even do our jobs anymore. So that's the main difference.
Well, and in my experience, it really depended on where you were, because since we were part of SDDC, the Service Deployment Distribution Command, a lot of ours was supervisory kind of position.
Oh, dude, I hated it. I hated it because it was. The SDDC has got some serious stuff going on with it, fundamentally wrong, in my opinion. Because we'd show up on missions when I got promoted out of the 195th. I went to a different unit, and I stayed up there for quite a while. At one point, as an E5, I was the detachment sergeant or the first sergeant for that unit. I was in charge of 19 people. We'd show up at ATs, and they were like, "Hey, you guys are going to be supervising these folks here." I said, "No, the fuck, we're not. That's not why we're here. So we're here to learn how to do the job. So what's going to happen is my guys are going to be working with your guys. We're not going to follow behind you. We're not going to clean up your shit." And that's how it went. Boy, I had sergeant majors come up to my captain. "I need your command team. Come see me." And they see me step in the office. They're like, "Who the fuck are you?" "Sergeant Tisdell, I'm the acting first sergeant." "I'm sorry, what?" For 2 years, I had that position. And the stupid shit that we did, I told my guys this: I have no problem with hard work. I have no problem with folks being lazy. I can fix those things. I have no problem getting dirty. And I have no problem staying late until the job gets done. What I have a problem with is stupid. I have no tolerance for it. So if you guys ever come across anything and they want you to do something stupid, you come find me and I'll fix it. And it worked. My commander was amazing, Captain Domosley. He's a EMT up in Pensacola. But he had my back 100% of the way because he was not transportation. He was, I forget what his MOS was. But he says, if this is what it's supposed to be like, what right looks like, I'm gonna confide in you. I'm gonna bounce ideas off you. You let me know. But if something's fucked up, you let me know. I'll take care of it. And he took all the weight from most of the shit that we had to deal with. "Sir, this is not what we do. That's not our job." And hey, don't do it. Sweet. But yeah, that was the SDDC's got something fundamentally wrong where they don't let troops do their jobs. They don't. You're here as a supervisor. So what do you got these guys doing? You got them leaning up against equipment, playing on their damn phones the entire time they're there for 2 weeks. because they don't want these soldiers to come out and actually do the job or learn how to do it, because they got union guys out there. And the union guys that are on the port, they're like, don't touch anything. Don't do anything. If you have questions, ask me when we're off of this port. It's stupid. You can't even pick up a clipboard to do a piece count in some of these ports that the STDC is running. Because if one of these union guys sees you doing something that they're supposed to be doing, they call the union and they go on strike. So then you have no movement whatsoever. It is the dumbest shit in the world.
Well, I imagine a lot of that comes down to how the government contracts and stuff are all written.
It is, but we're not here to take your jobs. Dude, we're here for 2 fucking weeks and you guys can go do your thing.
Yeah, you're supposed to be training. That way, if we have to go overseas and do our jobs, you can know how to do it.
But they don't let it happen. Every 2-week AT that I've ever done in the United States has been that way. You guys are here to supervise. Fuck. This is going to be a long 2 weeks. It is. It's terrible. I will take that back. We did annual training in Hawaii. Terrible. Absolutely terrible out there.
That's why anyone like I have ever known who's been in the Army and went to Hawaii like hated it.
Yeah. Sarcastically, it's actually a really great place. It's really beautiful over there. But the people that run that place fucking suck. They do. I got into it with one of the port managers there because she said that I wasn't doing my job. I don't like that shit. Don't tell me how to do my job, because I know how to do my fucking job, and I'm doing this shit for 17 years. It's not nuclear gynecology. It's the same shit every fucking day. It's not hard. But we got into it over the dumbest shit. And they actually kicked me out of the office and stuck me on the vessel, walking through and making sure that everything was blocked and braced and chained down correctly. All because we got into it, because I didn't want to be her little puppet. She had a history of doing that shit. And she still does to this day. If she's still there, you'll know her when you see her if you ever go down there.
Well, it's yeah, every once in a while you kind of gotta just make stuff work. I remember one movement we had overseas where we had a major come out and she said, I want this on that truck and this on that truck. And I'm like, well, ma'am, we have a whole manifest. So, we've figured all this out.
Yep.
Certain trucks have certain weights, and you put the real big stuff on the real short trailers and all that kind of, so we have it all planned. Nope, you're going to put up like, all right, Roger, ma'am, we'll do that. And so we had these giant, I don't remember what they were, like giant earth movers, and going up on a regular trailer instead of a lowboy trailer. And the ramps were so tall, they were like, screw it, we'll just do it. Just hit the gas, like just go. And so you have guys who are looking straight up into the sky, have no idea where this vehicle is going. And then finally it hits that tipping point and physics kicks in and it comes slamming down on the trailer. And I don't know how the tires and stuff didn't just explode underneath the weight of this thing coming down. I mean, you would have thought a bomb went off. It was crazy. So we put these couple things on there, and she's like, all right, cool. Thanks a lot. All right, I'm out of here. And she leaves, and we're like, all right, take all that crap back off. Like, I know this sucks, but take it all back off. We got to put it all back on.
The right way.
Just to get her out of here so we can do our job the way it's supposed to be done.
Oh, my God. It's so stupid. When we were in Iraq, we got separated when we first got there because we all came in. I remember this. We were standing in formation in JBB, Joint Base Balad, right there in front, giving us a briefing. And I remember my boots feeling like they were on fire. I do remember that because I'm looking down. I'm like, dude, this asphalt is way too fucking hot. So, and then we split. From there, we didn't see each other for 6-7 months?
Something like that. Yeah. Because we spent 2 or 3 months in Kuwait afterward.
Yep.
And none of us realized that was going to happen.
No.
Like, we were all training together as a 20-person thing as the individually mobilized augmentees. And then we get all trained up, ready to go. Then we get to JBB, and they go, oh, all these people that you just got to know, guess what? We're going to split you again.
Yep.
Now you get to know new people.
Oh, yeah.
No. So before we get too much into that, though, I would like to back up a moment, if we could.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely not.
You get out of AIT and stuff.
Yeah.
And we get back down here to Orlando. Now you're drilling out of Orlando.
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about between your time there and then like when we went overseas? Because I only knew you for I was there for a year, I think.
Yeah.
Before we left.
Yeah, I want to say it was about a year. I don't even really remember that much of post AIT and before deployment. I did get into some shit back in '09. This is, dude, it was terrible. I'll tell you. I don't care if we got time.
Well, as long as we're not, putting out anything classified or getting anybody in trouble.
Absolutely not. So I'll tell you what happened. This is one of the first times that I almost had to fight to keep my military career. So in 2009, I had a wife. I was 19 years old. Stupid. I will say that. Young and dumb. So I had a wife, had an apartment. I had a 1990 Buick Century. Baby blue. Love that fucking car. Bench seats, comfortable shit. Anyway, I go to AIT for those 2 weeks. My first day there, my wife sends me a text message. I want a divorce. And we had just gotten married like the month prior. Shocker.
Sounds like a Kardashian kind of.
Dude. So I'm going through all this stuff. I got all this stuff going in my head. And I'm like, God, dude, I can't really focus on classwork because I got my wife texting me, I'm done, whatever. And to those 2 weeks that we were there, it was 2 phases. So I was there for a month. 2 weeks and 2 weeks was broken up that way. So they didn't have to pay us BAH. So for the first 2 week orders, I get that text. And then I had to do another 2 weeks. And during that time frame, I just mentally started spiraling out of control, like doing the whole what if shit and being 19, not having that coping skills and how to process the emotions properly and talk to people. You're familiar with the whole ACE thing they had, the Ask Care Escort for stuff.
Yep.
Well, I made the mistake of talking to somebody who was this E4 fucking shithead. I forget his name, but I'll never forget what he did. He's like, hey man, you haven't thoughts about hurting yourself? I'm like, what the fuck do you think, dude? My wife's talking about leaving me. She's, all this other shit. And so he ran off. Literally ran after I told him that. And he went and got hold of some E6. They pulled me, and Sergeant Simmons was there. So they pulled him in there, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And I talked to the chaplain and Sergeant Simmons. Sergeant Simmons, I will forever be grateful for him. He did something that nobody else did. Instead of just wanting to figure out how to nail me to the cross, figuratively speaking, he just talked to me like a normal person. And he's like, hey, listen, I get it. It sucks. Here's the rental car. Go drive. Come see me in a few hours. He just let me go drive the damn rental car. So at the time, it was a brand new Dodge Charger. Really nice car. I drove that thing for hours, dude, listening to music, all sorts of stuff. And little did I know this was going to come back to bite me in the ass later. So we finish AIT. We come back, and I had to sit down. You remember Lieutenant Colonel Bergeron?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was our commander at the time. He pulled me into his office one drill, and he said, hey, listen, we need to have a talk. I said, what's up, sir? What's going on? He goes, well, what happened in AIT? And I gave him a rundown, caught him up to speed. He said, listen, you're going before the medical board, not in person, but your packet is, and they want to kick you out. For what, sir? The suicidal stuff that you mentioned. I said, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's a joke. But not really joke, haha. I was like, this is a joke that this is fucking happening. Because at that point in my life, things had gotten better. To give you an example of how shitty things were, I came back from AIT, and the first thing I did is I went home to my house, my apartment, where my wife was, and I had been sending money home the entire time for all the bills. Mm-hmm. I get home, I have an eviction notice on my door. I have a cancellation notice for the power, cancellation notice for the water, and all the money I'd sent home had gone to alcohol and weed. And she had been taking my car, picking up guys, bringing them back to my house and having sex with them in my bed. I know because there were men's clothes that did not belong to me all over the bedroom. And I lost my shit. So we got into a big fight, my wife and I, and the lesbian couple that she'd moved in and the random dude that she moved in. And we got into it, and I said, fuck it. She's like, well, I want to go to the store. I was like, well, let's get in the fucking car. Let's go to the store. So I take Alf out of our neighborhood and make a left, and I fucking punch it. Because, that's a smart thing to do when you're mad, drive angry. So I punch it, and we're hauling ass, and this car pulled out right in front of me. And I T-boned him. I hit them so hard that my engine stopped. In a 1990 Buick, that's pretty hard to do. I hit him hard. My knees hit the dashboard at about 40, 50 miles an hour. I was wearing the seatbelt, thankfully, but I got pretty fucked up from it. Ended up going to the hospital and all sorts of shit. So fast forward, I'm in the office with Lieutenant Colonel Bergeron, and I told him, I was like, oh, my life's a lot different than it was those months ago. I've got a better job. I got a place to stay. I got a new car. Everything's good for me. He's like, listen, I need you to write a letter to the board and tell them all these things you just told me. And for months, dude, it was like walking on eggshells, trying to figure out if I'm still going to be in the Army or not. And Lieutenant Colonel Bergeron actually put a word in for me with the board. And that's why I was still able to stay in. But the thing about it that fucked me up for a while is like, where's the ACE? Ask, care, escort. At what point did I receive any care? I got asked, or you haven't thought about hurting yourself? Well, of course. And then I got escorted right to the chaplain's office.
Not escorted as in like, hey, help your friend get to the person to get them care.
No, he took the fuck off.
Where security's going to show you out of the building. They're going to rough you up a little bit on the way out.
Yeah. And no point did I ever see any care. And I wrote that in my letter. I said, we have ACE, ask, care, escort. I was asked and I was escorted. I never got any care. And still to this day, they need to work on that because I'm sure we'll get into that later. Dude, it was fucking terrible. It's still terrible. Anyway, so I went through.
I'm sorry things went that way for you.
It happens. It's a learning experience. Having gone through that, I am now able to help somebody that's gone through that or going through it. But that time frame was right after AIT, almost quite literally, up until I got everything situated with the board. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were with us then, but we went out on a mission, 2-week mission, Port Canaveral for AT. Is
that with the Haiti?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You remember that?
The barge from Haiti that regular deliveries and stuff back and forth when all the hurricanes and stuff had hit.
That's it. So we were out there, dude. We had a great time there. The place is awesome. At that point, we had all put our names on the list, and that's when we were there because they had the government shutdown then, and we couldn't do anything. So we actually found out that, hey, you guys are going on the deployment, and we got pumped. I remember that. I'll never forget that. So we ended up going that was around 2009, late 2009, early 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
It would have had to have been 2010 sometime because I was in basic and AIT. I got back. It's like late spring, early summer of 2010. Yeah, you're probably were actually overseas in 2011.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry. We were in Moab.
Yep. Camp Shelby.
In spring of 2011.
Yep. And we ended up coming back 2012.
Because it was June when we actually got overseas.
Yeah. Fucking hottest time of the year. God. Oh, fuck. Yeah. So that from that time period at post AIT till deployment, that pretty much took up all that time of me fighting to stay in tooth and nail, all because of some stupid shit that I said to somebody. And that's pretty much post AIT.
Well, I mean, I can understand where that would be a little more fuzzy in the memory because you were pretty focused on other things.
Absolutely.
And understandably so. I know that people talk about divorce rates and stuff in the military.
It's insane.
It's the reality of how difficult that can be with. I mean, I'm not trying to discount anyone's experience with divorce, but you have a couple extra little layers, especially if you get deployed or something on top of it.
Oh yeah. So it was a lot to go through in a short span of time because I had gotten back, and then within a week, I lost my apartment, I lost my job, lost my car, lost my wife. I lost everything.
Almost lost
that I had.
Your life.
Yeah, I got lucky. Thank God I was wearing that seatbelt because it would have been a completely different outcome had I not. But I went through all that in that short span of time, and it was my focus was all over the place. I mean, I had all this other stuff. I had to fight tickets and all sorts of junk. It was a weird time to say the least, but it brought us here. So
no, and that's one thing I would like to thinking in that time period. You brought up the Cape Canaveral thing for a minute. I think that's a lot of one thing people don't realize that a lot of us do. In the meantime, like you hear about the National Guard when a hurricane comes through or something, but there are a lot of...
all the credit.
I mean, it's, you got to make a sexy news story out of it, but you just don't realize like the amount, because we're both reservists. We were reservists at the time. but the reserve is still, even though it was only for 2 weeks, we were part of something that I feel is pretty important.
Absolutely.
And, so the Army out there, good, bad, all its faults and stuff, like there are good people in it who are still trying to do good things, at home and abroad. That a lot of people just don't realize that we do. It
was really cool because we had some really good folks there working for the SDDC that helped us with the whole process, pay codes and whatever we did there. It was really cool because that was actually our first real world mission that we did.
Really got to pull stuff off of boats. And
and we actually got to do our jobs, and it was actually very rewarding at that sense of I did this, I helped in this area. So it was really cool. I'm glad we got to go on that one because it was really, really fun. I got to sit out by the beach all day. It was pretty dope. I'll take it.
So between that, it's regular drilling a little bit, nothing too crazy there. But then we're getting into deployment.
Yep.
And that's about Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Heading over there. Well, we didn't go there first.
No.
Where did we go to?
It was
it was another reserve center, but it wasn't in Mississippi. It was
Alabama.
Alabama.
I'll never forget that time because that's when they came out and said, "Hey, we killed Osama bin Laden."
Yeah, we were in the we were in the hotel room because we were just getting to. They were bringing us all together. To the battalion level to kind of like, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. So we were only there for like a week, maybe something like that. So yeah, we were in the hotel, and I remember that we were all just like hanging out, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, did you hear? Osama bin Laden, he got. We all got together in one hotel room. We're watching the news and stuff. That was pretty wild.
I'll never forget that.
I totally forgot about that.
That was at the DSC. That's right down. It was right down the road.
In the middle of potential tornadoes taking us out and stuff.
Nothing but a great time.
Dude, I was outside jogging, like in the parking lot, and I'm like, man, it's getting really cloudy out here. And you start hearing air raid sirens, because in that state, they still blow the sirens for the, like, I think I should go in. Something bad's happening.
That's your luck, man. You're just out there trying to work on your fitness. And
like, I'm just trying to stay in shape, and then here I am about to get blown away like a cow in Twisters.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that. Like I said, my memory is so terrible now. So then we go to Camp Shelby.
Camp Shelby, Mississippi.
Yeah, and that was a super fun time there.
Fuck that place. Dude, that place is terrible. We had issues. I remember they put us next to our barracks were right across the hall from the challenge youth. And they were like, don't talk to the children.
Don't look at them.
Don't talk to them. Don't. And they were like, all right, for those creeps that are in this formation, there are women over there that are underage.
Yeah.
Do not talk to them. And there you got dudes like, well, yeah. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is your problem? Dude, they're kids. Stop looking over there. Don't talk to them. You fucking creep.
Forgot about that part.
Yeah, the challenge youth coming like they're like, hey, we're gonna put your weapons in this front building that is right across the street from these guys. Yeah, now you bring
it up, like I remember, like that's probably like okay, yes, we should be able to control ourselves. Also, probably shouldn't have those two buildings right next to each other. Seems like you might be asking for issues. Dude, because they would try to get out and stuff.
They did. Well, they had the MPs that were always on standby for them because they would elope all the time. And the last thing we need is a female to break loose and then come into the male barracks somewhere, and then we got a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Whether you did anything or not. Like, I get it, you're looking because you're curious, but don't be fucking doing nothing, dumbass.
Well, and then on top of that, we had an E7. I don't know the whole story.
I remember him.
He got booted because he was talking to the younger females.
Sergeant First Class Paris. He was my instructor in 88 Hotel School.
Okay, yeah. I remember some of you guys had known him and met him already.
He was a fantastic NCO. Fantastic. Took care of his troops. Also took care of some of the female troops a little too well.
So I don't know. I only hearsay of like supposedly he was talking to. They had text messages and stuff. Oh yeah, but
he did it. He did it for sure. He had some marital issues when we were going through AIT. Mm-hmm. He was a fantastic NCO. He was an E6 when I went through AIT. Fantastic. Knew his shit. I mean, he was on it. But when we got there and when I found out we were mobbing together, I'm like, dude, I'm about to be set. I was like, hey, I want to be on your team when we go over there. I mean, he took care of his guys. He really did. But he got thinking with the wrong head. I mean, he was talking to 4 or 5 different specialists.
Wow.
You remember? I forget her name.
I don't remember the names. I vaguely remember some of the faces.
The skinny light skinned female that had that allergy to peanuts.
Quote, allergy to peanuts.
Dude. Oh my God. Did you ever tell any of your listeners that story?
Well, I don't have any listeners yet.
Oh, you'll get some.
Dude, I haven't even put an episode up yet.
Bro, I will never forget that. She's outside of the damn MWR room having an allergic reaction because somebody in the zip code was chewing peanut M&Ms in her vicinity.
Yeah.
And she started to have a full-blown meltdown outside. And you had EMT training at the time. And so you come up, and what happened? Asking the appropriate questions. She's like, oh, peanuts, I'm allergic. And so with a bunch of senior enlisted people standing around, you're going through your checklist of how to evaluate somebody. Like, hey, listen, I need to lift your shirt. And then one of the NCOs goes, for what? To check her stomach for a rash. Like, what are you doing? Then she ended up, it was just a panic attack.
So she said she had allergies to peanuts. And if anyone does hear this, yes, I know that even on a plane, if someone opens a bag of peanuts, you can have a reaction.
Yeah.
However, she would regularly eat candy bars
with peanuts
that say on the package, manufactured in the same plant as, Snickers bars, which have peanuts. And anyone with a super severe peanut allergies knows which candies they can and cannot eat because of the potential. If it's that bad, it's in the air, a mistaken powder in a Milky Way will take you out. So it's... It was all. I feel like it was just an attention thing because she did a lot of stuff that was out there. She was very, if you remember, she wanted to shove it down people's throats that she was a Wiccan. I remember that vaguely. Yeah, I remember her trying to keep the attention on her, no matter what we were doing.
Yeah, well, nobody gave a shit what your fucking religion was. You're just a weird person. She was out there, dude. I'll never forget. I forget her name, but I will never forget her. She is shot out, dude. Nuttier than squirrel shit. I mean, we had a lot of good times at Camp Shelby, though. I do remember that.
We made the most of it.
We did. I do remember we had to battle flooding at one point.
Yeah.
We had to put sandbags on both of the entrances of our barracks because of Camp Shelby's engineer department. Top notch. It's got this real...
great drainage.
Yeah. Hey, we see how all the water's collecting right here? Let's put some buildings right there.
And then it got freezing cold.
Yes.
And it was late spring, so it was just a weird cold snap.
It was out of nowhere
after it had rained a ton.
And then the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Dude, they'll take you away if you're not paying attention.
I will always remember everyone yelling at you because of the final countdown. That stupid song, or Rebecca Black Friday was popular at the time. You made it your alarm in the morning or something one time. I'm fairly certain something large got thrown across the barracks at you one morning.
Yeah. I got my ass handed to me in Camp Shelby, all the dumb shit I did. The final countdown was one of them, for sure. I remember that. I think at one point you said, if you play that fucking song again, I will fucking hurt you. I think is what you told me, if I'm not mistaken.
I can see myself saying something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God, dude. That brings me back. To this day, I'm sure you can't listen to that song.
It's probably better now. It's been a while since I heard it, so.
Well, it's fired up.
Yeah, copyright infringement there. That's just what I need.
Oh.
But so then we get basically wrapping up MOB. We're getting overseas. And then we all get to, like I say, Joint Base Balad. And then that is a blur to me because between MOB and traveling, that it was supposed to be a 15-hour flight that stretched to 18 because of delays and sitting in Germany and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
We finally get overseas and we get to Kuwait. And
Tent City.
What was that place at? Ali Al Salim. Where they split us all up. And that was definitely weird.
That was a weird transitionary time.
Well, you wake up at 4:30 in the morning and the sun is at 12 o'clock position in the sky. Like, what the hell is this?
And you're cooking.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you guys have some tents? There's buildings over there with air conditioning. You'll be all right. We got air conditioning here. It's just a big old giant white condom that's filled up with cool-ish air, and they put a knife and they cut holes in it. There's your air conditioner.
Yeah.
All the top racks were taken right next to the damn air conditioned vent. I remember that. Nobody ever slept on the top bunk. They had if you had a cut, you put your bunk right underneath it. God, that fucking place sucked. And it was Ali Al Salim. And then I think we spent like what?
It was only a few days.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 days. And then we got split up into our teams and we all left.
Yeah, they sent us to Balad, and then they hit us with that whole, we're going to split you all up. One of you is going north, one of them goes south, one of you is going east, southeast, center, stuff like that. Because I got sent, I was down in Basra, so I was down southeast.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
And you got sent north, right?
Yeah, we were in, that was USD North, so that had, we had a huge area of operations, or area of responsibility, I should say.
Because there was like 3 teams on the southern border across the whole thing. There was only the one in north, and then you had JBB in the middle. Yep. Right.
We got hammered, dude. It was absolutely insane because from that, I mean, I didn't know anybody on my team. I met completely new people. And
did you get sent with anyone from the initial? Me either. No, I was the lone dude who got sent.
They fucked us on that because it's already a weird transitionary period of like a huge culture shock. I mean, you're in the mindset of, dude, I may not fucking come home from this shit. And it'd be nice to have somebody you know, but no, here's some complete strangers that you're going to have personality conflicts with, just so you know. But good luck. Godspeed. Do you remember what they gave us overseas to go overseas with as far as weapons?
Well, we had the 9mm Berettas.
That's it. Yeah. That's all they gave us. They gave us a 9mm and 2 15-round mags. That's it.
Yeah, and then NATO tries to tell you can only carry like 8 rounds or something on a helo, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna have my whole kit. Thank you, just in case.
When I got to Spiker, Cobb Spiker. It was a huge, like, oh, fuck, this is actually happening. And met a whole bunch of people I never met before. We did the left seat, right seat with the people we were relieving, and we got confident with our job, and we started doing our thing. But that went by very quickly. Out of everybody there, they had a couple people that were responsible for the fly missions that would go out and do the pickup for the equipment, supervise it, make sure you document everything, all that stuff. Nobody ever wanted to do it. Fucking, I'll go. Get me 2 weeks out of this office? Shit. See ya. So they would send me all over. I went from, I remember going to Warrior, Cause Warrior, Warhorse, Merez, Diamondback, and there was another one I went to for these fly missions. And dude, I had a blast every time I went. Every place I went was a great time. We were in northern Iraq, and that's the drawdown came from the north to the south. And we were in northern Iraq. It was 2 bases that were connected by like a road. And it was Merez and Diamondback. And they're up, there's hills all around this base. And those 2 bases had 2 movements, 1 each. So we would bounce between them. And
now you were doing fob hopping for people who had like pickups off those bases.
Okay. Yeah. So we had a huge equipment list for each unit. How many pieces? What type of equipment? What are we picking up? What's going where? And it was so much equipment that we had to pick up on those 2 bases. But it was so weird because it was like that drawdown was heavily underway by the time we had gotten up there. The PX was almost empty. The DFAC was pretty much MREs except for breakfast. They only gave you the 1 hot meal a day, and that was breakfast. Mm-hmm. Everything else was MREs. And it was rough, dude. Laundry facilities were at a minimum. Showers, same thing. And it was rough. But one funny thing happened when we were there. It's not like hilarious or anything, but I thought it was pretty funny at the time because life sucks, and any little funny thing is pretty funny. So we're going to the chow hall. 2 things happened that were funny there. I'll get into them both. We're going to the chow hall for evening chow, and there's this guy standing out front greeting everybody like a Walmart greeter. Thank you for choosing the DFAC. We greatly appreciate your business. And I was like, me, I'm in a good mood most times. I'm like, thanks, man. It's good to be here. And he goes, no, the fuck it's not. This fucking place sucks. So the long and short of it is he fucked up. So he had to greet everybody outside of the DFAC. And
he had a what did he call it? A re-education?
Yes. Yeah. So we ended up having to do 24-hour ops for a couple days there just to meet the mission requirements, and because of where the bases were located, it wasn't advantageous to work during the day because of all the activity from the Taliban. So they're like, yeah, you can get seen from the hillsides during the daytime. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. So we're down there in these RPAT yards, the pickup locations, and they have generator light sets. Lighting us up, and we're wearing yellow reflective belts. Real smart. Thanks, guys. We're real easy to spot now. But anyway, we're out there doing a pickup, and they had dip, because I used to smoke about 2 packs a day when I was over there, and I ran out of cigarettes. So I'm like, fuck it, let's go to the PX, and they only had like 2 or 3 brands of dip, and I've dipped before, and I was like, all right, fuck it. The guy that was with me, Specialist Powers, he's like, oh, dude, Skull Apple. Tastes just like an Apple Jolly Rancher, the green ones. I was like, oh, shit, well, let's get a can. And I was like, have you ever dipped before? And he goes, yeah, man. I used to dip all the time. I'm like, all right, sweet. So we got out there, and I'm packing the can, and it's the middle of the fucking night. I pull out a pinch, I put it in, and he grabs a really big pinch. And I'm like, dude, that's a lot. And he goes, nah, I got this, bro. He throw it in his lip, and we're out there walking around. We're starting to write down license plate numbers. And I look over at Powers like, bro, are you good? And he's about as white as a sheet of paper, dude. He's like, ooh. And he starts like, I mean, it was the perfect cone of puke, dude. It's just like he started spewing, and I was like, bro, what the fuck? He goes, you're supposed to swallow. I was like, no, dude, you're supposed to spit it out. You told me you dipped before. I did, but there was the stuff you could swallow. Oh my god, dude, he had to go to sick hall because of that. Yeah. He ended up puking so much shit out of his stomach, dude.
But, like the scene from The Sandlot, right here.
Yeah, just
all
perfect.
The kids chewing it back on one of the carnival rides.
Oh my god, dude. I'll never forget his face. It's just about as white as sheet of paper, and made eye contact.
And it's even like that. What did Camel put out one time? The snus or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, you can swallow it. Bullshit. Dude, no. That stuff would turn your stomach too, man.
They had the non-filtered cigarettes out there too, the Camel non-filtereds. I remember those. I also remember when we were in... So we do all that. We break that down. And we never got shot at, which is the funniest thing. We never got IDF on those northern bases. Ever. Really? Ever. The only time we got IDF was when we repostured to Baghdad, which is central, because USD North broke down and they needed help with center. So we were there with, I actually did link up with Sanchez and Stout.
Yeah, okay. Time. I was going to say, I remember that. I remember Sergeant Stout told me, because you guys took small arms fire.
We did. We started to get... it was indirect. I mean, they were just spraying and praying with it. But it was right after...
I mean, still, if you're walking down a concrete hallway and you hear... Pew!
Oh, dude, there were rounds hitting our T-walls in front of our barracks. But we would... it was right after Ramadan. Yeah. That was when we got... As soon as Ramadan was over, dude, we got mortared multiple times a day. They were getting injuries. I don't know about kills. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100%, but I know they took some casualties, U.S. casualties over there because of the IDF that they were getting. What ended up happening is the triple canopy Ugandan security guys that we had, they got busted with a large sum of cash in their barracks. Large.
Yeah.
So they immediately got pulled. The 2-star for USFI, Iraq, was like, hey, you guys, you're off all posts in Iraq, period. You're done. So they just had them there standing around playing soccer, and green suiters were up there manning the towers and the ECPs and all sorts of stuff. These Ugandans were getting so frustrated. They were like, we don't want to leave. You can't make us leave. We have a contract. Well, their contract got voided, and the 2-star wrote a memo saying, listen, y'all are getting contract canceled. You're flying out immediately. So you know what they did? They burned down the building that held all their passports. Burned it down. So then they were like, well, you just bought yourself some more time here. And what ended up happening is these Ugandans were getting so frustrated, and, I get it. They would follow soldiers to their barracks, knock them unconscious, rape them, and steal all their shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. It was to the point where they said, you are not to leave anywhere without a battle buddy. And that was when the battle buddy thing was really emphasized over there, because they got busted with the cash. And then shortly after that, we started receiving accurate, effective IDF. They hit a chow hall. They hit I believe some offices in the area, and they ended up having to call in a medevac. I do remember that. One of the, I don't know if you remember what happened to Sergeant Stout when we were in Baghdad.
I'll say a great deal of things happened to Sergeant Stout.
So it was
he's one of those dudes where it's just like stuff happens to him.
Bro, he's like a shit magnet. But we were in Baghdad, and it was right after evening chow, and it's starting to get dark. And we're all going to the showers. Sergeant Stout's in the shower. We get IDF, and the alarm goes off. Incoming. And I'm in the same shower trailer that Sergeant Stout is in. I'm done. I'm done, dried up. I'm getting ready to put my slides on. I'm about to go out. And we get IDF. The incoming alarm goes off. Sergeant Stout goes to step out of the shower stall, and the showers that were in Baghdad had a step down, like a good 1 foot drop. Mm-hmm. And Sergeant Stout stepped out, and his foot slipped because his flip flops were wet. The floor is wet. He's trying to get out quick. He slipped. He ate shit so hard. He hit his head on the floor. And I was like, "Oh fuck, you good, Sergeant Stout?" And he goes, "I'll be all right." And he didn't dry off or nothing. He was fucking butt naked underneath that towel, dude. He wrapped the towel around his waist, grabbed his shower thing, and we ran off into the bunker, the shelter. And I'm like, "Sergeant Stout, dude, you sure you're okay?" He's like, "My head fucking hurts." He ended up getting a concussion from that shit, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, he fell so hard, and he racked his head on that shit. But yeah, we got IDF, and it was really close that night. It was the night we left. They were walking in the rounds with the mortars, and they were getting closer and closer. You could feel them in my container that I was staying in. You could feel the vibration. It would rattle the windows, and then I'm standing outside smoking a Black and Mild, and then we start hearing the whiz and the ping on the T-walls, and I'm like, oh shit. And then we get Sergeant Stout comes up and he's like, all right, pack your shit, we're leaving. Where are we going, Sergeant Stout? Going to Kuwait. I'm like, oh fuck, we're going back to the tents? He goes, no, we're not going to the tents, we're going somewhere else. But I do remember that. And then when we repostured from Baghdad to Kuwait, it fucking sucked.
Kuwait blew.
Bro, I hated that shit. Because it's the first day we get there, I remember this because I got there before you did. I remember going to pick you up.
Well, yeah, because there was a plan to shut down from the north to the south, and like we weren't the last team out, but we were like the second to last. I want to say, because the other team I want to say showed up the day after us or something.
Yeah, and we get to Kuwait, and I'm walking there with the staff sergeant I got some pictures of that time on my phone, but we're walking into Kuwait where our LSA was, our area we were going to be staying in, and there's people walking around in plain clothes. Like, who the fuck are these people? And like, oh, those are soldiers. So like, how come they're not in their PTs? You're not supposed to be out here like that. Oh, well, here you're allowed to. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, you mean to tell me we could have been here the whole time? He goes, yeah. I was like, bro, they got a McDonald's, they got a Dairy Queen, they got Burger King, Taco Bell, Starbucks. They had all this shit. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I got shafted. I got cheated. And, during that time, if you remember, during that drawdown, everything was scarce. Everything. So when I was in Iraq, I learned to appreciate the little things in life. Like, for example, Raisin Bran Crunch in those little plastic bowls. Dude, that was my favorite fucking cereal. And they never fucking had it. Ever. And when it did come in, everybody would snatch it up. But
Old man Tisdell going to buy his Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran Crunch, bro. Sponsor me.
What you experienced, almost like your entire time, that was only the last couple of months. For me. We were, and I didn't even realize all this, but I guess we were a little more fortunate in that our bases, because when I was in the southeast, we got moved from there. I was there for a couple of months to the other because they shut that one down.
Yep.
And then, but they still had some, like, we didn't have Burger King and all that, but we had like a little coffee shop on post and a couple little creature comfort things. And then the last couple of months, it was like no defects, all MREs.
Yep.
All of our toilets stopped working, all that stuff. So like what you had for a lot longer than what I had was
it sucked.
a couple of months.
It sucked.
Which is an interesting contrast, though, because like we started getting hit like a couple of days from me being there. So it was kind of interesting. Like the north didn't get as much for a while, and then it slowly ramped because it did ramp up. I mean, they knew we were leaving.
Oh yeah,
like they had. Because sometimes T-walls were coming down, and they were reorganizing bases and stuff. And I'm just like, you don't think this is prime time to throw bombs in this place? But
the other thing they did is the first thing they took out of all those bases by the green suitors. It wasn't smart things to take out first.
Yeah, let's take the porta potties first.
Well, they took some of the porta potties out.
Leave you with nowhere to go to the bath. Dig a hole.
Yeah, they also took out the C-rams.
You lost your C-rams?
That was the first thing they took off of all of our bases.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The first thing. And when we got to Baghdad, they still had them. At every other base that I had been to.
They didn't take out the C-rams where I was.
And they did it in broad daylight too. And they had like a big important convoy, helicopters following it and stuff. And I'm like, hey guys, probably not the smartest thing to take out first. And if you're going to take it out first, do it at nighttime.
Yeah.
Don't do it during the day. Bro, we got mortared to shit in one base that I was in like the northeastern, northwestern side, because that was the first thing they took out. We didn't have it on the northern end at all, because they had the Kiowa unit there. And those fucking choppers, dude, are badass. I don't know if you remember those.
We didn't have anything like that.
The Kiowas? So it's a helicopter with a big old infrared camera, thermal, whatever, on its dome. And what it does is it flies below the berm. The camera sticks up over the berm, and it will laser designate targets for the Apache helicopters to hit. So they had the Kiowa squadron there they were flying around the base all the time at night. And we never got IDF at those northern bases, but the northwestern or northeastern, I don't remember which, they took the C-rams out, and boy, we got fucking hammered. Like, as soon as they saw them fucking things leave, it was game on. And we have no defenses. Like, hey, you see that little concrete shelter over there? Go stand in that.
Yeah.
It'll keep you safe. It's like, fuck, dude.
Concrete toaster.
Yeah.
So hot in those.
Dude, it sucked.
Yeah, that's a real interesting thing is like, yeah, we might have been, quote, desk jockeys.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, they were bomb. Like, I saw a TCN at Third Country National. I thought his brain hanging out of his head, man.
Fuck.
Because, like, we got missiles one night, and
that's right.
We were told it was missiles.
You guys got those. We didn't get those.
Yeah, we got a lot of the missiles attacks and stuff in the south. There's one. I can't find the article of it, but I remember finding the article at the time, because they took out a little airstrip right next to our post when we were down in Basra. And but yeah, like, we would get missile attacks occasionally on top of the mortars and stuff. Oh, yeah. And there was one, they told us it was missile attacks, but like, everything's done, we're clearing, we were going somewhere else, and they're wheeling, the janitor guys on stretchers to the infirmary, brains hanging out of their heads and stuff. Like, that was awesome.
Good Lord, dude. It was a weird thing too, because I remember during one of my fly missions, we flew Blackhawks. I'm
sorry, that wasn't awesome for anyone who misunderstands my sarcasm.
Yeah, I know him, so I know what he meant. But the weird thing is for these missions, I call them fly missions because we flew everywhere. They didn't want us in convoys because at that time IEDs were still a problem.
Yeah, I only had to do a couple where we would hop on a helo for like 3 days to do a pickup and then head back
fly
home.
back. But it was so weird going from our little quiet fob that we had to these different bases. And I didn't know this, but there's some like protocols that they do before they fly into base. Certain helicopters do it, other ones don't. I guess it depends on the unit SOP. But we're flying in, and it's a little dark out, and the doors are open on either side because that's how you get your air conditioning from the props. But I'm looking out this thing window of the door, and I'm looking down, and then all of a sudden flares go off, and I'm going, we're going down, and then the guy goes, no bro, we have to do that when we fly in. I was like, oh, okay, see, now that makes sense. And when we flew in, that we had that happen, we were flying out, it was daytime, and then we had a guy I guess shooting a pistol at the helicopter or something. And I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, I'm pretty safe. I know that. But if we were to, like, crash or anything, all I have is this fucking pistol and 30 rounds. Like, Go ahead and just box me up, ship me home, man. I ain't gonna fucking do shit. But it was just so weird because other people from the 1182nd, I do remember, they got M16s. We just got pistols.
Well, I'm trying to remember why that was exactly, because it was if you were embedded, we were attached to, we're not assigned to. So we weren't actually in their unit.
Correct.
So if you were actually assigned because we weren't 1182nd, we were.
What were we?
Well, we were called individually mobilized augmentees.
Yeah, but I forget the unit we were attached to.
So it was like we were freelance for the 1182nd. But if you were actually a member of, they had M16s. Rifles on the books. They could issue those to those. They couldn't issue those to us since we weren't actually their soldiers.
But it was so funny walking around Iraq with a pistol. And as E4s.
Well, you would hope that in our position on the post, that's really all we would need, but...
Well, yes, you'd think. But the Ugandans got paid off. And there ain't no telling how many other people had gotten in.
Yeah.
Because
they had AKs.
They did.
So, us with a Beretta versus an AK is not quite a fair fight.
And we didn't walk around with our body armor. The only time we wore that armor is when we were on fly missions.
Yeah.
And we never wore that stuff to walk around base. It's just too fucking hot for that shit. I do remember though, it was funny as shit. We were walking to the chow hall, and I had one of them shoulder holsters that you just throw it on. You got your mags over here.
Way more comfortable.
Yeah, and I had my little boonie hat on, and an E4 rank from a distance looks like a lieutenant colonel. And I was walking to the chow hall with an E6, and here comes this first sergeant walking the other way. Sir, and I go, talking to me? He goes, yeah, sir, you're going to salute me back. I was like, dude, I'm a specialist. He goes, well, why the fuck aren't you walking on the right side of your E6? This is bullshit. Why don't you have a rifle? You're supposed to have a rifle. I'm like, this is all they gave me. First arm. Like, well, I'm sorry, bro.
Probably part of the infantry brigade that owned that base or whatever.
Yeah, we never, we had, when I got to Spiker, we were attached to the 4th ID. And the entire time we were there, we only had code black one time. And it was kind of fucked up how it happened. They were getting ready to rotate out. I think it was 212 Cav that we were there to help, and we actually did their pickup mission there, so it was real easy. They had folks rotating out for R&R. They had a routine patrol. They went out, did their thing, came back, and the assistant gunner for the dude in the Humvee was on R&R. So this guy, hard-headed, complacent, took the belt out of the 50 cal, lifted it up, and lowered it into the Humvee. And it depressed the butterfly trigger and shot him in the face. Yeah. We weren't there for that. We didn't see it happen, thankfully, because I don't think I'd ever want to see that. But we got put on code black. The base was completely shut down because of that.
No communication.
None. The guy, what ended up happening from what I heard through the grapevine, is it was a triple canopy guy that called it in. He was out there by himself trying to lower a 50 cal into a Humvee. By himself. Everyone else had left him.
Yeah, crew served weapon, 3 people minimum, doing it by yourself.
Yep. It blew my mind. Like, dude, no pun intended. That's fucked up. No, it fucked with me. I'm like,
unintentional.
Yeah, unintentional pun. That's fucked up. No, I was like, he was so close to going home. And that complacency, fuck it, I don't want to wait on anybody, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. That
was the only thing that we had happen in our base and Spiker. Nothing crazy happened. We never got IDF ever on that base, ever. It's too flat.
It's like I say, it's just amazing to the contrast in experience because like I said, we started getting hit almost immediately when I got there.
I remember you telling me about that.
And we had a convoy, an infantry convoy was doing just like a routine recon or something outside the post, and one of those guys got hit, and one of them didn't make it, and so we got put on code black, and like no Facebook, they shut all the everything with the internet they shut off and stuff. I also, when I was in Basra, we worked in a hardened building, so it was like the size of Walmart, but with thick multiple concrete layer walls. And we would get missiles to hit the building. Just keep working. You used to be like clack 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 boom. Oh, okay. Clack 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 clack. Like go back to work.
We good? Okay.
Yeah, that was wild at that spot.
Yeah, they ended up shutting down our offices in Spiker were called the crack houses, and quite literally, it was a shithole. It was a fucking terrible place to work. But anyway, we repositioned to the 4th ID's headquarters there on Spiker, and across from us was the Special Forces compound. Those dudes are a special breed. I mean, they would roll out the gates with no doors on their Humvee, painted sky blue, with an M249 hanging out by the driver's side mirror or the passenger side mirror. Beard, sleeves rolled up. I mean, wearing camo that the Army doesn't even issue anymore.
They weren't in Hawaiian shirts and flip flops.
No, dude. I mean, they might as well have been.
We walked up to a compound. We had a compound one time. We go up there. And, yeah, dudes are like board shorts, flip flops, and baseball caps and stuff. Like who are these weird contractors?
What do you want, man? How can I help you? But it was nuts, man. The contrast, like you said, to wrap my head around that. Thinking about it, like, dude, I couldn't imagine dealing with the shit that you guys got. You guys got hammered quite often down there. I do remember reading reports about that stuff in the email traffic.
Solid weeks.
Yeah.
Where it would be like every day. We had for like 2 weeks, I think, straight. Every day at 4 a.m. they would hit. Yep. And it was just like, it became part of the routine. The first couple of days, I started to sleep through the alarms and stuff because it was every day, and thankfully the CRAM was there. That thing will wake you up.
Oh yeah.
We had one, it was, so like, you remember how they had like little blocks, like little neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So we had a CRAM that was just outside the T-walls of our little neighborhood. So, I mean, I was maybe like 100 feet from this thing and I'm sleeping. I sleep right through the alarm. It's part of my dream. Right, and then all of a sudden that thing goes off.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, time to get up. It's time to go.
Dude, we when we were in Merez or Diamondback, they were like, "Hey, we don't have any other available chews. You guys are gonna have to stay up here on this end." I'm like, "All right, cool." What they didn't fucking tell me is that they had this industrial-sized generator. It's like a 40-foot mill van sitting on the other side of my fucking chew. And that bitch would fire up, son. It would shake the fuck out of my trailer, bro. I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Loud hum all night.
Bro, you got the funny thing is, when you're over there, you learn to sleep through shit that you normally wouldn't be able to sleep through.
It's because it's loud everywhere, all the time. I mean, they talk about, the loud spikes and stuff can damage your hearing, but it's more of like that low drone all the time that causes more permanent. It was always noisy.
Dude, I can't remember a time where it wasn't noisy. Yeah, I always had something going on. Generators running somewhere. Some shit. It never failed. But we did that. We got back to... When we got to Baghdad, dude, that was when shit was fucking weird. I mean, we had a couple of people that I ran into. Sanchez. Oh my God. Did he tell you some of the fucking games he was playing over there?
Probably, but like I say, my memory's crap.
Dude, he would go... His favorite food night was when they had lo mein night at the DFAC. And he loved that lo mein so much, dude. And it would give him gas. So this fucking guy, it is already like 140 in the shade. And he would play games on people. He would eat this nasty ass food and get these old man farts that would brew up in his stomach. And he would let him go and then call you into the room that he was in and ask for help with something. He got me one time, man. I about fucking puked. It was like something stupid. He called, "Hey, Tizzy." I was like, "Hey, what you got?" He's like, "I need your help picking this thing up." I walk in there and the fucking smell was waiting with an uppercut, dude. It's fucking... I'm like, "You motherfucker." And he started laughing. Well, he had this guy there. His name was Specialist Syme. He's from New Jersey. And, I'm sorry, Connecticut.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah, remember Syme?
Yeah,
Lyme disease.
Yeah.
Don't even get him started on Lyme disease. But they would go after it, back and forth with the farts. And, dude, I remember I was sitting in the car with Sanchez, and I'm in the back seat. He's in the driver's seat. And I'm behind Sanchez, and he goes, here he comes, watch this. And he farted. And I'm in there like this, dude, and it stunk so fucking bad. Syme come in, shut the door, and he goes, "What is that? Is that your chow mein?" It hit him again. And he's like, "You nasty motherfucker." And he starts like dry heaving and shit, almost puking in the car. And dude, he used to do that shit all the fucking time. And it never got old. Ever got old. It was just,
he was a joker for sure.
Dude, running into him into the WTU, the Warrior Transition Battalion.
Let's hold off on that.
I know, dude.
We got plenty to tell.
I'm telling you, it gets worse.
So we're Iraq's shutting down.
Yep.
You're slowly moving down to the center, and then you went to Kuwait from there, right?
Yep.
You didn't go to any other
No
other bases.
other bases, straight to Kuwait.
Okay, so now you're back at Kuwait, and now what do they have you doing there?
Fucking nothing.
Like jack shit, like
Dude,
everybody else.
Nothing. They had people in place, established, doing their jobs. I mean, they sent us out to the Port of Shuaibah. We did work out there at that little shed. It's a fucking quadruple wide trailer. Like the best air quality Kuwait has to offer. Fucking joke. No, just doing nothing, dude. I mean, I'd spend more time in the MWR trailer than doing anything. And it got to the point where I would ask, like, hey, do you guys have anything for me to do? And they set me up with Sergeant First Class Norman as the S3 assistant. And I got to do PowerPoint slides. That's pretty much all I did. And even then, I didn't even do them. Sergeant Norman would send them to me in an email and say, hey, just go ahead and proofread this. Everything's good to go. And that was it, dude. I didn't do a fucking thing there. Nothing. It's a waste of time. I did drive the Scooby bus. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember the bus.
I pissed off some more people with my music. I did, because Captain McElroy, he was my captain in USD North. And when he came back to Kuwait, he got assigned with the other captains, and they're all, buddy. And they weren't high enough on the food chain to get their own car. So they had to ride the Scooby bus. And I had a playlist on my old iPhone. I still have that thing, by the way, with the playlist still on it. I can't let it go. Too much memories. Beach Boys.
Yeah.
They fucking hated it. So every time they got in my bus, I was playing the Beach Boys. And they're like, you need to get some better music on here. And they were just always angry at me. So then I started playing like Bob Marley, Don't Worry, Be Happy. It's just shit like that. And they hated riding my bus. It was to the point where like, fuck it, we'll catch the next one. We'll see you later. Just the little fucking things I used to do to fuck with people. I still do it. Just,
I remember Kuwait being, because like you said, there was a lot more stuff there, fast food, all that. And
oh my God, so much food.
I wish green beans was a thing over here.
There it is.
Well, I don't know where they are.
Why?
Yeah. Because like I was like, man, and it might have been the situation, but I was always like, this is better than Starbucks. I like green beans.
Dude, it's way better than Starbucks.
And I remember your daily order was something like, it was ridiculous, like 16 shots of espresso, or
dude, listen, it was some potent stuff, man.
You're like, give me the Trenti, and you had your own little personal cup. You bring it,
yep,
and it's like, it comes with. You'd be like, extra 8 shots of espresso. They're like, you sure? Like, yes.
It was
me 8 extra shots.
It was the white chocolate mocha with extra espresso. That stuff was so good, dude. So much better than Starbucks. The green bean was like by far my favorite spot.
That was like one of my favorite places. But that's one thing that sucked about moving from Basra is we had one in Basra and didn't have one on Adder. I was like, no.
we had one in Kuwait, but wasn't that great. The ones in Iraq were a lot better than the ones in Kuwait. So we ended up going to Starbucks in Arif jail. That fucking shithole. I couldn't stand that transition, man, from Iraq to Kuwait. It sucked. I mean, I was there for a few months, but the whole mindset of people like, oh, dude, this sucks. They don't have they didn't have some trivial fucking thing. And I'm like, dude, you guys are lucky that you have all the other shit that you have here. When we were up there, dude, I was lucky if they had fucking Raisin Bran Crunch up there, dude. That was a good day for me. Like, go to the chow hall and crack that bitch open. I was happy. It took very little to keep me happy over in Iraq, and then you get to Kuwait, and there's a bunch of spoiled, rotten motherfuckers. And
oh no, Burger King was out of fries this morning. It's the worst day ever.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but they had the nightclubs there.
Yeah, I remember the nightclub.
Dude, they had them shut down because somebody was twerking, and the 1-star general for that base was just so happened to be there that night. And you're up there twerking on the fucking on the table, so they shut that shit down. Everyone was butthurt about that. I'm like, thank God. You'll need to suffer a little bit.
Well, and if I remember correctly, at the time, the plan was going to become a permanent post, like a Korea. You would do normal 2-3 years duty and stuff there. I mean, I haven't really I haven't really followed up Army news too much in the past several years, so I didn't know if that was like a regular thing. You can get a tour.
Oh yeah, our unit that I'm with now is actually over there as we speak. They're in Arif John, And they're on Facebook and they post their pictures like they're happy, and then deep down I know they're miserable. I mean, it sucks.
I mean, for some people, depending on just what you care about, you care more about Burger King than I hated Kuwait myself. I begged them to send me to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I felt like the entire time I was in Iraq, I wasn't doing enough. I felt like I could have been doing more the entire time. I was asking, can I go out on a patrol? Can I go out and, I want to be the gunner. I want to get out of this damn base, because like I feel like there's people that are doing it, and I should be doing it too, because I'm capable, I'm able-bodied. It's not hard. I want to do it. And they said, no, this is your job. I'm like, my job's fucking bullshit. Dude, this shit sucks.
Well, I mean, you think back to it. I mean, it was an important job.
It was, but the amount
if we weren't there, like if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, dudes didn't.
Oh yeah, shit got
home,
fucked up. Absolutely, shit got fucked up. I mean, I can't tell you how many stuff got frustrated at the cargo lot, and we had to go back and fix their fuck ups because they decided to go about it doing their own thing, and bucking up all the paperwork we had to do. But it felt like in the back of my mind, like I feel like I should be doing more than what I'm doing here. And I understand that I was like a gear in the war machine to function. But most of our job was literally double checking clerical errors in the documents for us anyway. We had a contractor that did everything. We were there to double check his work, to put it into the system, check for flaws or errors, and then send it on through. That's all we did. Then we sent it to the TCM's guy, badass contractor. His name was Henry. He used to order cigars by the pallet, dude. I shit you not. He'd crack open these bricks here. Try that one. Crack open this one. Try that one. And Henry, good dude. But yeah, no, we never really did our job per se, like as they teach in the schoolhouse. We didn't. So it was always leaving something like I feel like I should be doing more. And then we get to Kuwait, and it's just like all these people taking this shit for granted. Like, guys, what do you do for work? Oh, bro, we just sitting here and check our emails.
You get to be bored for 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah. Like, data ops. That was the section I fucking hated when I was in Iraq, because they took forever to get our shit back.
And they were always screwing something up.
Yeah. Data ops. And when we got to Kuwait, when we got to the port of Shuaib, I was like, yo, where's data ops?
To be fair to them, from what I understand, it was like one person doing everything. And a lot of other people not doing
a fucking thing.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how that went down, but yeah, I remember we had a lot of stuff get kicked back from data ops. And a lot of stuff where it's like there would be one number off. Mm-hmm. And it's like, listen, that number is in like 4 other spots. Go with the 3 out of the 4 and just change it. Why are you sending it back to me?
It's not going to get frustrated en route to the port. My God. It was just so frustrating because everything was getting loaded on trucks driven by TCNs to the port of Shuaib. 9 times out of 10, that's where it was going. Or from there to, from Jordan to wherever the hell it was going. The whole door-to-door process that they were advertising or boasting about, but it all went to fucking Kuwait anyway. So, I mean, it's coming there, fix it when it gets there. And it was to the point where we were getting so backlogged because of data ops and all the corrections that needed to be made. Bro, we just started labeling everything troop equipment and clothing, because essentially that's all what you're sending. But I'm not going to go in there and tell you that you got 35 staplers, 42 paper clips. I'm not doing all that shit.
Yeah, it's unnecessary. You label it office equipment. It weighs 40 pounds. Done.
Yep, done. And it was true. It was 741 Zulu 9. That was the code for that. The C code. Yeah, the tag code.
The date, the dummy code or whatever.
That's what we put in everything. I was like, what's in this office trailer?
Well, they would send us stuff back and they say, hey, this number needs to be this number. You need to fix it. Like, if you know what it's supposed to be.
It blew my mind. I was like, they're not going to kick this back at all. It's all the same. I would sit down. We started
listing every Tricon was 10,000 pounds, I think was the max weight. So all of them were 10,000 pounds, no matter what.
Regardless. Fucking, it was a nightmare. That was a weird point in my life, too. I do remember as a very young adult sitting, doing a briefing in front of hundreds of people, like lieutenant colonels, first sergeants, sergeant majors, a lot of high brass. And you're up there as a young kid, like, hey, this is what I need. And you got I met some of the coolest people over there. They're like, hey, Tiz, what's up, buddy? I was like, hey, how's it going, sir? He goes, hey, this is what I got. And I'd be like, hey, sir, you need to get a hold of your unit movement officer. And he goes, why, what's wrong? I was like, your shit is fucked up. Bro, it was so weird going from the States where you have all that tact and you're super professional with your superiors, and you get overseas and you're cussing with them. There's no there's no customs and courtesies over there. None. It's just like, hey, sir, your shit's fucked up. Your guy's a fucking dirtbag. And they're like, all right, show me what's fucked up. And they, all right, cool. Hey, I'll be back. Hey, appreciate you. And they would just fucking take off. There was no sirs, sergeant majors, none of that shit. None of them gave a fuck. And then cussing was a thing that it was pre-mob. It's like, hey, don't be cussing in formation. And then you get overseas, and then that same person that said, don't be cussing is up there dropping the F-bomb 47 times in the morning briefing. And you're like, dude, I thought he said not to cuss. And it's just huge night and day difference. But that whole transitionary period from Iraq to Kuwait, and then getting to Kuwait, and then being completely fucking miserable until we left. It sucked. Yeah, I fucking hated Kuwait with a passion.
Well, I don't want you to do yourself a disservice. Like, I want you to know that I feel like you should know some of the stuff you were doing there was important. Like I say,
it was
like not.
I felt like I should have been doing more.
I understand. Yeah. I totally, but I don't want you to feel unappreciated because, like, when you talk about how you're out in front of, we had to do that several times. They started,
briefings.
Like when we got short on plans to do, we started planning briefings and stuff, and we went and met with all the units on our base that we were moving. And like I said, we were E4 standing tall in front of E7s, E8s, and colonels and captains or lieutenant colonels. I don't know, but lieutenant colonels and stuff. And you had officers who were firing us questions, and I remember being in rooms and them being like, "Yo, what do we do with this? What do we do?" And it's like, whatever that dude tells you to. Yeah, pretty much. I am 23 years old telling this captain, like, this is what you're gonna fucking do. Like, and
it's a huge shift, man.
I mean, it was a big deal. And
it was pretty cool, but like I said, I just felt like I should have been doing more while I was over there. But looking back in hindsight, it's like it was pretty stressful. At any given point in time, I believe I myself, in my team, I was responsible for over 100,000 pieces of equipment. At any given point in time, they had to say, "Hey, where is this piece at in the process?" And I got to go look it up. Well, and I better have an answer. And it was a lot of little shit that we had to do over there. It wasn't hard work. It was just very tedious and very time consuming.
It wasn't physically demanding, but I wouldn't say it was easy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't nuclear gynecology by any stretch, but I mean, it took a lot of focus on some of the things that we had to do over there, especially with the like labeling stuff appropriately, make sure you get the right dimensional data and all that stuff going on.
God forbid you screw up hazmat.
Oh my God. I hated hazmat.
Because on hazmat, one error on the container, on the manifest, and on the shipping label equals 3 mess ups, which is $100,000 plus fine a piece. And
good luck.
Yeah.
You can bill Uncle Sam. Yeah, it was that transitionary period was nuts, dude. Kuwait, from Iraq to Kuwait.
It was a whole different world. Wasn't like being over. When I was trying to get to Afghanistan, they're like, "Man, they're getting shot at over there. You don't want to go back to that." I'm like, "Yeah, I would much rather get shot at
than
have to ride in the car with you again another day." So we finish up Kuwait.
Yep.
Right, we get sent back home, and then you and I didn't go home.
No.
Because we got hurt.
Yeah, we did.
Would you mind telling us what happened to you while you're overseas?
So, it's fucked up how it happened.
If you're comfortable.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. I'm very transparent. So, we went through Iraq. We got indirect fire, small arms fire. We did all that stuff. Helicopter rides. We went through all that shit unscathed, dude. I played one pickup game of basketball in Kuwait, and I blow my shit the fuck out. I mean, my ACL completely gone. One pickup game of basketball. So we get sent to the Warrior Transition Battalion, and oh my God, dude, that place was a fucking shit show. They didn't know where their head was nine times out of 10. They had, for perspective, it was just a bunch of broken dudes. Like, I mean, you're physically fucked up if you got to be here. And they had us standing out there and change of command ceremonies, doing pass and review and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, we're all fucked up. We're all breaking profile, so you guys can feel good about yourselves. To talk about how important it is. And
military guys with walkers and stuff standing in formation.
Dude, I'll never forget. They brought out a bunch of folding chairs for us to sit into because most of us couldn't stand. I mean, they had me on a dead man's profile. I couldn't jump, twist, walk, nothing. Anything to do with my legs, I couldn't do it. So I had a no standing profile. If I was in formation for longer than 5 minutes, I was allowed to sit down. So they had this change of command ceremony out there in this big ass field, Fort Stewart, Georgia. It's hot as fuck. And then they were like, hey, we appreciate everybody being here. I mean, it's a huge deal, this big promotion. And then we're off in the shade away from everybody else. We'd like to thank the Warrior Transition Battalion for coming out here. We greatly appreciate y'all's support. Can I ask why you guys are sitting down? Just like 90% of the platoon, man, just sitting down. And sitting at attention like, oh, we got a profile, man. We can't be out here. But it was quite humbling, though, because being at that the WTB, sorry, was very humbling because though we both got fucked up over there, we were very lucky. We got to see some pretty fucked up people, dude. Like, I don't know if you remember the dude that had his left arm amputated from the elbow down. He was there. He ended up getting, I ended up killing himself from what I hear. Because I met a guy. I still talk to him on Snapchat from time to time. Real quick, do you remember when we were in Camp Shelby, Mississippi, Serena Butcher?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the WTB. I met the guy that was one truck behind her.
Really?
Yeah. He told me some pretty fucked up shit about that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Because she was like the only female in their unit going over.
Yep.
And we were overseas for a couple of weeks and they got hit and she got killed.
She wasn't even supposed to be out of the base. That's the fucked up thing about it. But because there was women on that route, they needed her to go out there and help with the females that they were interacting with on their patrols. But he ended up telling me, dude, that after the explosion, the only part of her body they couldn't find was her foot.
Wow.
And that drove him nuts. And he had PTSD from that shit bad, and rightfully so. But we were out on town, out on base, drinking one night, and he started losing his shit. Started looking for her foot while we were in a bar. Like, fuck, dude, we got to go back to base. Come on, dude, we're done. You're cut off. We went back. But no, we were very fortunate, you and I. And everybody else that was at the WTU from our unit, because I remember Sanchez was there, Johnson was there. I'm trying to think of who else came there with us. I can't remember, but we were very lucky. There's some fucked up people there, dude. That guy with the amputation at the left elbow, he was funny. He wore glasses, and he was left-handed primarily. And typically when you wear glasses, they droop down. You take your dominant hand, you push up on the bridge, whatever. Well, he didn't use his right hand that still had fingers. He took his nub and he would like punch himself in the face with it. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You got a whole right hand. He goes, yeah, I was left-handed before I lost it. So, I mean, just nudge it up there.
Trying to break the habit.
Yeah, but he was cool as fuck, man. From what I hear, the guy that was one truck behind Serena, he told me that guy ended up killing himself, I guess, because he was shot I believe he was shot in the left arm and the elbow, and it came out his wrist, which is why he lost it right here. And I think he was also blown up or whatever. I don't remember, but I think he ended up killing himself because of all the pain that he was in, and the treatment not helping, and the Army's care system being super fantastic took care of him, I'm sure. But yeah,
from what I understand, I've heard there's a few people who we were there with that are no longer with us.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's truly terrible. And you know what the fucked up thing too is that we got more sick there than we did overseas.
Well, when Sanchez is picking up Chinese food,
oh my god,
D-rating place with the roaches crawling out of the bag. Oh my god, stuff.
Did he tell you about that? Probably don't remember, but I'll tell you anyway. He's got shitty luck. Sanchez has got the worst fucking luck. We were having a briefing. This all happened the same day, mind you. We were all having a briefing for the weekend, safety brief. And our sergeant was like, hey, listen, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Sanchez goes, hey, you know why you don't drink and drive? He says, why is that? He goes, oh, you hit a bump, spill your beer. And the sergeant, without missing a beat, looked at him and he goes, my brother died by a DUI driver.
I remember. I was sitting at that table.
Yeah. And then he goes, oh, shit.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, my God.
Open mouth, insert foot. And later that night, because I don't think we stayed together. I don't know if we did or not.
No, we weren't. We had gotten together, but we were like in different buildings.
I was roommates with Sanchez. So he's like, hey, man, are you trying to order some Chinese food? I said, man, fuck it. Let's get some Chinese food. So the woman shows up and knocks on the door. He goes out there and she's got a belly on her. And he goes, oh, how far along are you? She goes, I actually just lost the baby last week. And he goes, God damn it, man. He's like, bro, I'm just going to stop fucking talking. He's
I remember that one too.
Oh my God, dude. Sanchez, bro. I haven't talked to him since then. I don't know what happened to him. I think he like gone like a fart in the wind.
I had tried calling him or something one time a while ago, but like I said, I've been out for several years, so
he changed his
lost
number.
contact with a lot of people.
He changed his number. I do remember that. I know he got on a deployment to Afghanistan. Shortly after we got back, he wanted to go back over there to Afghanistan too, but he went. So, yeah, the WTB was an interesting blur. It all happened very quick, and I remember getting the community-based Warrior Transition Battalion. I got sent back to the house.
You were there for a while, right? A while longer than I was. I should probably stayed there longer. I was so ready to go home, and my physical therapy, like my arm was starting to feel better. So I was like, yeah, I'm better. And they're like, okay, you're better. We send you home. Yeah. It's just like, oh, crap. Like, no, I think I actually need more care. I shouldn't have said anything. Shit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I went home. I was there. I was there for a couple of months, but you were there for several months, weren't you?
I was on active duty orders in the WTU for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And I ended up getting MRSA from that place. I get a little bump. I don't know if you can see it on camera with a little dimple right here.
Like a little bald spot there.
Yeah. That was a staph infection that I got from the brand new hospital that they had built. And it started out as like a little tiny, looked like a mosquito bite. Whatever, nothing. I went home for a weekend because we got the weekend pass thing, came back Sunday night, and this thing is like huge, super infected. It hurt. And I went to the hospital. They lanced it and drained it. Like, here's some antibiotics. You should be good to go. The next day, bro, I woke up and I'm out there at the smoke pit and I'm smoking. And I go, dude, my fucking arm is killing me. And I had the long sleeve ACUs at the time. And I had it wrapped in gauze. And then my arm's hanging down and I'm smoking. My arm's fucking killing me. And I look down and there's blood coming out. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I look at my hand, dude. It looked like I had hot dogs for fingers. And I take my jacket off and I look. And then it's like actively bleeding a whole bunch of nasty shit out of my arm. So we go back to the hospital and they're like, oh, it's a good thing you came in when you did. If you waited any longer, we probably would have had to amputate your fucking arm. I'm like, damn, that's fucking crazy. I get shot at in Iraq and all this other shit. I come back here and I almost lose my fucking arm. This is bullshit.
And the place is supposed to be helping me get better.
Yeah, no kidding. They had some fucked up rules there. I do remember that. You had to take all of your fucking pills. Side effects that fucked you up or not, you had to take them. And I remember they gave me, what's the name? Chantix for the quitting smoking.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Chantix, and they had me on Ambien because I had sleep issues. Shocker. Dude, those two side effects, no bueno. One of them was with Chantix was vivid dreams, like really vivid dreams, and the other side effect for Ambien was suicidal thoughts. Bro, I had some of the most fucked up dreams in that place, dude. Absolutely terrible. And I'm so glad I got off of those pills. They're like, hey, listen, you still have to take them until we get the approval that you don't have to take them anymore. I'm like, that's fucking stupid, but okay. They're like, we'll put you on suicide watch. I'm like, please don't. Please don't fucking do that.
We'll take your shoelaces from you. And
put you in the Velcro room. Yeah, that place was very interesting. The rules that they had, the almost like free reign to do whatever you wanted.
Well, it was real weird because they kept telling us like that we had to do something with our free time. We had to be in school, but they didn't really do a great job of helping us get into school. They were just like, hey, you go to college while you're here. Okay, so where do I go to talk to and get resources?
Figure it out.
Yeah. Don't care, go to college. And so, yeah, I luckily was able to hide out in my room a lot of the time and played a lot of video games and stuff.
Me too.
Well, they opened the new building and they moved us into it. But then it was like they forgot because I was supposed to have a roommate because they were like little duplex things.
Yep.
And I was supposed to have a roommate and I didn't. So it's like they forgot I was there. So I lucked out. And I just chilled in my room all the time until they sent me home.
Yep. I remember that. That was a nice, like, I don't want to call it a hotel because, well, it's set up like one. It was a nice spot, really nice barracks. Big upgrade from what we were staying in. And, dude, I play video games all day too. They didn't give a shit as long as you were supposed to be where you're supposed to be at the right time.
Made your appointments.
Yeah. And took your pills, went to your appointments, and yeah, that's all they gave a shit about. Talk to your case manager. You're good. So funny though. Like, all right, PT. We're gonna go do PT. Sit down. It's like, what's your profile? Oh, here's this one. Okay, so just hang tight. What's your profile? Okay. You could do like finger extensions.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
They didn't have the little cardio arm thing you could do.
It was so fucked up, dude. We're in the gym holding equipment from other people that could use it. It was like, you go like this. That's your PT for the next hour. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't do shit. I can't walk, jump, twist, none of that. It was so funny. Like, hey, we're gonna go run. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm gonna sit my ass in this chair. Y'all have a great one.
I forgot you were there for that long.
Dude, it sucked.
I remember it was a while because when you came back, so I had taken my time off that they give you after you come home. You get like 6 months or something before you got to go back to drill. Yep. And I was only there for like 2 drills, I think. And then they told us that we were getting transferred.
Yep.
And because the Army was doing this huge restructuring. And we were becoming the 195th ETO. And we were moving to Tampa and combining with another unit. We were doubling in size and stuff. And you still had been in the WTU at that point.
Yep.
So when you came back, like, everybody was gone.
Yeah.
No one was in Orlando.
Yeah, but I missed something.
Yeah. Well, so did they inform you of like, hey, you're going to be drilling out of Tampa now? Or
no, I got promoted to E5 because I've been fighting the entire time we were overseas to get promoted because they had those Soldier of the Month boards and the promotion boards every month. So I was trying to get in there and get after it, but it never happened. And then when I was in the WTU, I got my orders effective whatever fucking date it was that I was E5 going to Panama City. And I do remember having a drill, the last drill with the 195th at that building. And we were all standing there like, hey, I got promoted. You know, congratulations. You came up, punched me square in my shit. That fucking hurt. I do remember that. You were like, wham! I'm like, oh, God damn it. That motherfucker got me good. That's for all the songs that I played. Like, that's fair. I'll take that one. But, yeah, I left. We did a little handshake and whatever. We left. I left, and I started drilling with the 508th ACD out of Panama City. Dude, what a fucking clusterfuck that was. That ended up being the second time I had to fight for my fucking military career. And it's still kind of fucking me now. I had a lieutenant there, Lieutenant Garrett. He's no longer in the military. Shocker. It'll make sense later. But he was a former E6 airborne guy, had a bad jump, broke his neck, had a bunch of fusions in his neck, and he's an alcoholic. And me, freshly promoted E5, I don't know fucking anything. And I had just been on a dead man's profile for about 2 years. Everything I had gained, like I was almost like 230 pounds. I was, everything in my left leg was atrophied from the surgeries and not having any physical therapy or anything like that. So my first drill back, he goes, you're taking a record PT test tomorrow. I said, sir, I've been on a profile for 2.5 years, almost 2 years. He says, I don't give a shit. You're taking a record PT test tomorrow. Roger that. Went out there, failed the shit out of it. Surprise. Ended up failing numerous times. Every month was a PT test for a record for me. And he was trying to kick me out because of it. Well, I was within my 1 year. I had been 2 years at that unit almost. But I had just gotten out of my 1 year unrated time. Mm-hmm. And then he sat me down at the hotel conference room. And he says, this is the hardest NCOER I've ever had to write because I actually have to think about something good to say about you. I said, I greatly appreciate that, sir. And he says, at this point in time, you are now dishonorably discharged out of the Army. I said, oh, is that a fact? So I cussed everybody out in the room and I fucking left. Come to find out, that's not how that shit works at all.
Yeah, that's not the process.
No, it is not. But me, young, stupid, not knowing any fucking better, I left and 6 months had gone by. Because in my head, I'm like, dude, I'll never hold a good job in my fucking life. I'll never be a cop because that was one thing I've always wanted to do. I'll never do any of those things. And I started working construction, smoking weed like crazy. And that shit helped with the pain that I was in, helped me with my sleep, all sorts of stuff. And I ended up getting back into physical shape where I could actually do things again by myself without any assistance. And then I get a phone call from my unit. Hey, where the fuck have you been? I'm like, well, maybe you didn't get the fucking memo, but I got dishonorably discharged. Why the fuck are you calling me? well, this is so-and-so with the 508th. I want to let you know that Lieutenant Garrett is no longer in the military. He got kicked out for conduct unbecoming. I was like, well, why the fuck you calling me? He kicked me out. She goes, no, I got a packet on my desk to put you out, though, if that's what you want. I said, no. What is it? What am I doing? What do you need? She goes, well, next month is this dates for drill. If you show up, this packet goes bye-bye. So I showed up, and that was good. Everything went well. I started drilling with them regularly. I was up there for years, dude, years. And we'd gone through so many commanders. I think it was up there for 5 or 6 years or something like that. It was a long time. And during that, it was a lot of fucking bullshit that I had to deal with the security clearance, trying to get my security clearance back, and having the bad juju of having a fucked up commander. And then we got a couple of good ones. And things kind of mellowed out and became a norm up there, and we were functioning. And then came this commander that we had most recent at that unit that kind of really fucked me up with my career, because I had to deal with that 6-month lapse. So I'm already not going to retire at 20 years. I'm not going to have a good year or a good career as far as retirement points go. I've accepted that, whatever. I'll still get my 20 and I'll get out. And we had this other commander come in. I'm not going to say his name, but he fucking hated my guts. He hated me. He looked out. He went out of his way to fuck with me on shit. I was in the process of trying to get my security clearance reinstated. Every 10 years, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm waiting on the investigator. I did what I was supposed to do. I turned in all of my documents, a complete, 100% complete application, submitted. And from what I was told, we are now waiting on the investigator to do their thing, their background. They've got to go through and contact all these people. Got it. Dude, I waited I can't remember how long it was. It was a long fucking time before I heard back. And he was fighting tooth and nail. Dude, he was pulling out all the stops to try and kick me out under anything he could think of. He's like, for your 88 November MOS, you don't have a security clearance. You're supposed to. So technically, you're not MOSQ. I'm kicking you out. I said, sir, I have a secondary MOS, 88 Hotel. Doesn't require clearance. And that's what I should be as a primary this whole time. He says, no, I don't give a shit about your secondary. Your primary is 88 November. You don't have a clearance. You're non-deployable. I can't do anything with you. So you're going to get kicked out. I'm going to kick you out. I'm like, motherfucker, this is really how it's going to go out. Like, I'm going to lose everything, all my benefits, all that other shit for some stupid shit like this. And had a soldier. He went green to gold. He's now a lieutenant. I'm pretty sure he's a captain by now. But he was like, sir, I really think you should reconsider. Sergeant Tisdell's requesting to go to another unit to get away from you, so that you're no longer negatively affecting his books. And I think you should do it because you won't have to deal with him. He won't have to deal with you. Everybody wins. And he said, fuck that. I'm kicking him out. Well, I reached out to my unit administrator. I said, hey, can we check with the security manager? What are we waiting on for my clearance? And he's like, all right, yeah, hang on, and put him on speakerphone. Oh, Tisdell? Yeah, he's been good for like 3-4 months now. Yeah, his clearance is valid in the system. If you guys would look it up, you'd see it. And he pulled it up, and boom, there it is. Wow. I'd been valid for months, and the captain was still fucking with me, like trying everything he could to kick me out. And now that I had that, and I was able to re-enlist, because I'd been doing extensions for 6 months, and I'd gotten to the point where, like, this is your last extension. No more after this. And then it came through. I'm like, fuck. I re-enlisted, and I was like, I want to transfer. And he says, no, I'm not transferring you. And he's like, I'm still going to make it my goal to kick you out. And he told me that. And I said, I highly suggest you reconsider that, because if you don't, based off of what you just told me, I'll take it to IG. And he says, all right. So he signed the request. I got transferred over to the 76th ETO out of Orlando, Florida, at the old fucking building. Mm-hmm. And it was so weird walking into that motherfucker too. I'm like, God, dude, the memories in this place. But it took so long for me to to get to that point to be able to transfer out. Dude, I had been failing PT tests for so long, and I was flagged. I couldn't get any favorable action, nothing. And I finally ended up passing a PT test. That's back in the old, we're still doing the 2 mile run and the 2 minutes of push-ups and sit-ups and all that shit. So it was real hard for me because of my knee. And I still have issues with it from time to time. But I was able to pass the PT test for record, and I was good. Everything was looking up, and then I got this captain who was like fucking me on everything, like every turn, just trying to fucking rail me. I ended up, what brought me to the 76 was weird because we had a mission, a 2-week mission to Hawaii, and I went out to this mission, and I met Sergeant Sanchez, and we meshed. We did well on this mission, and real cool dude. He was like, "Hey, bro, I'm with the 76 E2 out of Orlando." It's like 76. That sounds familiar because we used to share the building with the 76. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Is that right there at the Lieutenant David R. Wilson building?" He goes, "Yeah." It's like, "Y'all got any vacancies?" He goes, "Yeah, we do, bro. Come on in. We need E5s." It's like, "All right, sweet." So I finally get transferred over to the 76. Dude, the greatest group of people I could ever imagine. It was polar opposites of what the fuck I just left at the 508. And it was great. I was like, dude, this is great. I love it here. I'm going to re-enlist. And I did. And then shortly after I did that, everybody that was nice and good people to be around fucking left. And we had to do a change of command for this, our major that left. And in the interim, we had like a lieutenant. So then we were like, "Hey, listen, it's just temporary. We got another soldier coming in to take this person's spot." And they're like, they said his last name. And I said, "You mean this guy?" And they go, "Oh, no, he's a major now." But yeah, that's him. It's like, his first name is this. And they go, "Yeah, that's him." I'm like, "You just need to get me the fuck out of this unit right now." So that captain got promoted to major down to this unit, to my unit for the deployment. And I was like, "Y'all got to get me the fuck out of this unit. I can't." And it immediately started. It immediately started again. I mean, he was just looking for me to fuck with me. And I had told people there beforehand, like, "Hey, listen, if he shows up here, like, I want y'all to know this is what I went through with him." And it was a lot of little shit. Like, we went on a mission when I was with the 508 to Texas for 2 weeks, AT. And he took everybody's orders, signed them all. We all signed them there too. And then he says, "All right, y'all give me your orders. I'm leaving early. I'm an advance party, so I'll leave early, and I'll take your orders and I'll put them on our unit administrator's desk. And you guys won't have to worry about it." And at the time, I was really good at DTS. And I was like, "Hey, listen, you don't got to do that, sir. I can handle my own. I got it. I can do all my DTS from start to finish." And he says, "That wasn't a question. So give me your orders." So I handed him some. He flew back before we did, put all the orders on the desk of our unit administrator, Mr. Tony. Come to find out, when you complete TDY like that, you have 5 days to complete your travel voucher, or you get charged the whole amount that was charged to your credit card. Everybody else's orders were done, signed, certified, all that shit, put into the system. Mine were not. So I'm getting phone calls. I'm getting blown up. We're looking at like 7 days past the mark. And I'm looking at getting charged for all these expenses, like airplane tickets, rental cars, all this shit on my government travel card. It's about to hit me. And I get a phone call from my unit administrator, Mr. Tony, or Mr. Allen. And he goes, "I found your orders." I was like, "Where were they?" He goes, "Under a stack of papers that were supposed to be shredded at the very bottom." He goes, "Everybody else's orders were over here. Yours were on the complete opposite side of my desk in a box to be shredded." I was like, "Well, you know who the fuck did that, didn't you?" He goes, "No." I was like, "The commander. He took everybody's orders and brought them back." He goes, "No." I was like, "Yeah, he did." And multiple people corroborated the story, and sure enough, yeah, he did. He put my shit to the side. He fucking hated my guts, dude. He still does to this day. I know it. And it is what it is. I don't like him either. It's a personality conflict. It is what it is. But it took so much effort to get to where I was at, to a point with the 76 where I was happy. And to see him show up again, dude, it fucking ruined it. It fucking ruined it. Because I don't know about you, but when I first joined in 07, the focus of taking care of your people as a leader was, as a senior leader, it was more focused on, hey, are your guys doing good? Are they getting paid? Can they get promoted? Can we send them to classes? Can we do things for them? it wasn't so much about metrics. It was all health, welfare, morale, well-being of just you and your family. If you had issues, like, what's your problem? Oh, well, come with me. Fuck this mandatory class. You'll do it later. We're going to go sit you down with somebody. You're going to get FaceTime with this person until it gets fixed. And when it gets fixed, you'll come back here and take care of this shit. That's the way it used to be. And that's the way it was for us when we were with the 195th. It was like that because we had people that gave a fuck. Now, currently, from the 195th to the 70, to the 508th, up until now, it's all metric based. They don't give a fuck about anything but the numbers. Like, I had a soldier who had some personal issues, like some really fucked up shit. The Army didn't give a fuck. They didn't care. They turned their back on him numerous times. He ended up popping hot on a drug urinalysis. And instead of asking, hey, why are you smoking marijuana? Like, they didn't ask those questions. They immediately wanted to separate this guy. And he ended up getting into the ASAP program, substance abuse. And they were working with him, and he just had to get a urinalysis every month or whatever to make sure he was in compliance. But it blew my mind. Like, they don't take care of people anymore. They stopped doing that years and years ago. They don't give a fuck. They never did. So why am I going to bend over backwards to help this organization out when at the drop of a hat they fucking asked me if they could? And it's happened. I've had to fight 3 times to stay in. So why the fuck why bother? So that's why I'm at the point now where it's like, dude, I don't even want to put the fucking uniform on anymore. It's like a disgrace to me. I'm proud of my service that I did overseas. Outside of that, dude, I'm ashamed of it. Like, I don't even like telling people I'm in the military. It's sad because at one point, dude, I wanted to do everything that the Army could offer. I remember we had conversations about that.
You and I would both go to Sergeant Stout and be like, hey, man, what's the class schedule? I saw this unit's doing this thing, whatever. Can we get in on that?
Dude, we were very proactive with that shit, but having me burned so many fucking times, dude, and seeing the ugly side of shit. As the acting first sergeant for that unit for 2 years, dude, I got to sit on the command and conference calls all the time. I had to come up with shit. Like, I got this guy doing this, that, whatever. Their number one question was, instead of why is this happening, well, when can he get this fixed? It's like, dude, the numbers are what's important. Like, you don't care that this guy's like possibly going to lose his house and his job and his wife, kids. You don't care about that. You just want to make sure he gets that anti-terrorism level 1 done. Is that really the priority call here? They don't give a fuck. I never did.
But you have more resolve than I do because I got out.
Yeah, I'm in the process of getting into the IRR. I'm trying. I typed a letter, dude, that was so well worded and hit all the key points that I needed to hit in that letter. And I sent it to my unit administrator. He called me immediately, and he gave like this bullshit, fucking sincere shit on the phone. Like, I understand, and listen, I'm gonna take care of you, and we're gonna get this stuff taken care of. Fucking dude, I called back months later after leaving voicemails on multiple occasions. He answers, "Who's this?" This is Sergeant Tisdell. Oh, I don't have your number saved. But you had my number saved after I sent that fucking letter. But whatever. Okay. He goes, "What's up?" I was like, "Where am I at in the IRR process?" Because I have a feeling that I'm about to get kicked out of the Army for unsat. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you're not in the IRR." Really? He goes, "Oh, I don't know if you know how this works." I said, "I don't. That's why I said this is my interest. Please advise." And nobody got back to me about shit. There's more shit that I'm leaving out, dude. I'll go over one real quick. So they had a home station AT for 2 weeks and prep for the mobilization that they had. I ended up getting an ear infection, sinus infection. My daughter got sick. My wife got sick. And the whole house was sick, essentially. And at that time, it was just my wife, my daughter, and I in the house. So I couldn't leave my wife at the house sick with the baby by herself because it was just a group effort to take care of everybody. And I was super infectious, too. So I went to the urgent care, got a doctor's note, and it was like for 4 days or 5 days or some shit. This happened on a Monday. So went to the urgent care. They said, "You can come back to work on Saturday." So I sent that doctor's note in to my unit administrator, who's also a really great NCO. And she says, "All right, hey, listen, Don't worry about it. Come back on Monday. We have nothing planned. It's Donza for Saturday, Sunday. Take care of the wife and the kids. I'm like, I appreciate that. And then I get a phone call Sunday afternoon from this master sergeant who relayed a message to my unit administrator. If he doesn't have a doctor's note excusing him from Sunday, tell him to not bother showing up at all. We're canceling his orders. So I was like, all right. 10-4. I don't have anything. They canceled my orders. They revoked it. I still end up getting paid for the 2-week AT. And now I have a $2,000 debt payment with the Army. I went up to do a couple drills. And I was like, well, I gotta show up. I have to. And then my paycheck after deductions was less than $100. I'm like, bro, it cost me this more than this to come down here for these 2 days. I'm not making any money. Why am I showing up here? To get retirement points and to do the mandatory training that you guys are begging me to do? Like, fuck this shit, dude. I want to go IRR. So I typed that letter up, did all my shit, and I waited. And I called back and they said they still haven't fucking done anything with it. They said I have to come down in person and sit down and have a conversation with the first sergeant and the commander. I said, I ain't fucking doing that either. So y'all need to get this shit figured out because I want out. I want in the IRR. I'm done with this shit. I'm ashamed to wear this fucking uniform. I am not in the position to be in charge of troops. I recognize that. My heart's not in it anymore. And y'all promoted me to E6 temporarily because of the new fucking guidelines that the Army just passed out. I don't want this shit. I told you guys months and months ago, I don't want this fucking rank. Give it to somebody else who actually wants to be here because I don't. If you put me in charge of soldiers, I'm doing them a disservice. I know that. That's why I want out. And they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They're still trying to kick me out. Why bother? Get my fucking $400 a month when I'm 65. And keep that shit, man. It's a fucking joke.
Well, it's an interesting point that they're at, because like when I was still in, the Army is just dumping on everybody.
No, I don't give a fuck.
Then they were whoever makes it through. Those are the ones we want to keep because those are the good ones, right? Quote. So we, like you say, I felt like there was I mean, obviously, it had some good NCOs who tried.
Oh, we had some fantastic NCOs.
But support overall from the Army, like the big Army as a whole, it was very obvious that it was like, put very little effort into helping one. If people get in trouble, whatever, we have to draw down. We got to get rid of people. We have to reduce the numbers. So whatever way you can, don't do it in a healthy way where like you have a stronger, trim the fat, more cohesive team at the end. Just crap on everybody.
Absolutely.
And then whoever we're left with, great. And now here we are years later, and Army recruitment, the few things I have heard, Army recruitment is in the tank.
It's shit.
They can't get people. The people that they do get aren't very good.
No.
And I do commend them about the whole new preconditioning program to try to get people in condition for basic because they realize we are at
there's a huge
different
gap there.
Physical ability as a society than we used to be. But like that is one shining little glimpse of now the Army is reaping what it sowed.
Oh yeah.
You crap on everybody, you treat everybody like dirt, and then wonder why no one wants to be part of your organization.
Yep.
Like,
Colin Powell said something back when he was in the military. The day your soldiers stop coming to you with their problems is the day you stop becoming their leader. And it further goes on to it, but I don't remember the rest of the quote. But that part always stood out to me. And the senior leaders that we have now, it's bad when you got troops that are going out there smoking weed, doing shit they're not supposed to be doing because they don't want to talk to the chain of command because you know why? Chain of command's not going to do a fucking thing for them. And we have all these resources. You just have to ask us. We'll provide them for you. You call these fucking resources. Back when I was struggling, dude, financially, like I'm on the verge of getting evicted and all this other shit, can't afford to go to work, can't afford to go to drill. They were like, hey, are you active duty? No, I'm reservist. Sorry, this is only available for active duty soldiers. It's like, well, why are you guys making us brief this shit every 6 months at our drills if it's not available to us? Oh, well, talk with your church. No, dude, I'm not going to go ask for a handout. I'm looking for resources. Like, can you guys help me with like finding a better job or whatever this? Because you guys are supposed to have all these fucking people that are specialized in resumes and all this. I don't know how to fucking write a resume. I do now because I had to learn. But, dude, it's all very much every man for himself. And you have to take care of yourself because if you don't, nobody else will. There's a handful of great NCOs out there Some of them that are still in that were in our unit that are thriving and doing very well. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they didn't get to experience the shit that I had to go through. It's been a shit show, dude. These 17 years ain't been no fucking cakewalk by any stretch of the means. And it's almost like why did I re-enlist? I even said that in my letter. Why I regret my latest re-enlistment. The only thing I look forward to now is ETS. I made a mistake. And that's where I'm at now, dude. It's like having seen it from both sides. It fucking sucks. Look what happened to Staff Sergeant DeValier. I mean, fantastic NCO. I fucking love that. He was so funny, dude. We were over in Kuwait, and every time a shit truck would come by, pumping this shit. But they dropped the ball with him, big time. He ended up after Iraq and Kuwait, he got on a deployment to Afghanistan. And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's been years, and I feel terrible about it. But he had talked about wanting to commit suicide. And instead of providing him the resources that were available to him at that point in time, they sent his ass back home and fucking washed their hands of him. Said, go talk to the VA. And the VA gave him a bunch of fucking pills. That doesn't fix the fucking problem. And from what I understand is he took a bunch and overdosed and killed himself. And that's just another case in point of the Army just not giving a single solitary fuck about the people that are out there doing the work. The people that got hurt that we saw at the Warrior Transition Battalion, it's like the Army did them a disservice at some point. I know they did. I don't even have to ask. It's just, and then people just say, well, that's what you signed up for. No, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to get treated like a fucking piece of shit. Like I'm a bother to these people. I don't know, man.
Your sense of duty only carries you so far.
Yeah, it does. Sure. It's man, because you know what right looks like. You know what doing the right thing looks like. I still got soldiers that are no longer under my chain of command. They have my phone number. They call me. I've talked to, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that were like, hey, I'm having a bad day. Like I'm thinking some shit that I probably shouldn't think. And I've talked to them. And they still call me. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm trying to get out, man. Like, I'm here for you if you ever need me. And I still get people that call me, dude. I'm fortunate to be able to have been in that position, to be able to impact people in such a positive manner. But now I'm at the point where, like, dude, I've got enough shit going on. Don't fucking call me for shit. Like these soldiers that are in my current unit, I'm like, listen, I care about you guys. I do. Don't get it twisted. But call your people. Don't call me. I'm not in your chain of command. I am not even a squad leader. I'm not a team leader. Don't call me with your fucking problems. Talk to these people. I said, because right now I don't give a fuck. I'm just being honest. Why should I give a fuck about you when the Army doesn't give a fuck about me? And they don't give a fuck about you either. Because you're going to tell me all this shit. I'm going to pass it up the chain. They're like, meh. Make sure he gets that anti-terrorism done. And his GAT. We need to get that global assessment tool. Listen, our fucking numbers are fucked up on this. We're the only one in the battalion. It's like, come on, dude. You guys are focused on the wrong fucking thing. And they're always going to be. That shift that happened in 2009 to 2010, that polar shift of health, welfare, morale, general well-being to metric-based shit is in full swing. And I don't think it's ever going to stop. It's never going to be genuinely giving a fuck about your people. And the only way it's going to stay, that if that's still going to happen, is if you got these old heads that have been in for years and years and years that know how to take care of people, that give a fuck about them. They're like, no. We ain't doing that. You need to take care of this guy. That's the only way that stuff's going to happen. But if you get a bunch of people that are fed up, nobody's going to take care of these soldiers. Nobody. It's just sad, dude. And I want no part of it. I want no part of the military anymore. I'm done. Fucking cashed out, dude. I got knee issues, back issues, shoulder issues, headaches. I sleep like shit. It's just like, for all that for what? For my 10% off at a fucking store or whatever. I don't know. I don't even ask for military discounts or anything like that no more, dude. I don't like handouts. I like to earn what I get. Shit, fuck. Looking back at it, dude, I told you I've grown up a lot since the last time we probably fucking hung out. But I don't value handouts. I don't. I feel a certain type of way about it. I'd rather earn it and put my blood, sweat, and tears into something than have say, look, I did this. This is what I did. I don't like handouts, man. If I need help, just point me in the right direction. I'll figure it out. But I don't know. It's weird, I guess. The Army don't work that way.
Well, you would hope that the systems are designed to assist people in an appropriate way. So, I mean, I agree with you in principle on a lot of things. So, you know, like if there's an assistance program in the Army available for soldiers that is not, you know, a handout, but of like, hey, here is the route to take to get yourself back to where you need to be or where you want to be, you know, to help you earn what you want to do. It works. It sticks.
Yeah.
You know, and there are a lot of people out there, and I think right now, when you look at what's going on across the country, you know, a lot of people just want to work, and a lot of people, you know, I mean, some people don't, sure, but a lot of people just want to be able to do their work and go home and take care of their families, not have to worry about all the extra stuff that comes with it.
Man, you remember the time, I don't know if you were still in, but when COVID-19 hit and they were doing virtual battle assemblies?
I was out by that time.
Dude, fantastic. Productivity was through the fucking roof. Metrics never looked better, in my opinion, because I was still kind of a first sergeant at that time. I'm like, listen, guys, and I was very straightforward with my troops. I always was, because that's what I want in a leader. That's the way I was with my guys. I said, listen, I get it. This is what I have for you. Okay, this is the must-haves that need to get done. Okay, this other stuff, we can stretch it out all weekend if you want to. All I need is these two things. You give me these two things, I can pay you for the entire fucking weekend. And all I need after you get these two things knocked out, which is going to take you about 2 hours, I need you to text me or call me when you wake up in the morning so I can do accountability. Dude, all the stuff that battalion pushed down, like, hey, we need this, and this corrected. Cool. Send it out. Guys, get this knocked out as quick as you can. The quicker you get this knocked out, the quicker I can leave you the fuck alone. And dude, done. Consider it done. My troops were amazing when I was in charge of them. And I never looked at it that way. And I was like, I'm your boss. You fucking, no. It was like, listen, help me help you guys. Because when you do your job the way you're supposed to do it, you make me look great. And I don't take credit for it. I say, yeah, it's all my guys. It's like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. No, fuck that, dude. They did the work. I'm just here to help, supervise. I'm help to deflect, get all the bullshit away from them, let them do their jobs. You know, and that's the way it was.
Well, I think it helps when there is not a time hack of like, oh, you have 4 hours to do it, but when there is like an end date of, hey, if you get this done, then we're done. We get to go home. Because when we would drill on the weekend, it's like, we're going to stay here till 6 and 7 o'clock at night
for
no matter what we do.
Yep.
So why would there be any urgency to get anything done? I got into a big argument one time with, I don't even remember who it was, senior leadership when I was drilling out of Georgia. But they scheduled a drill weekend over Super Bowl weekend. And he's like, I don't give a shit about Super Bowl. Why would I care? And it's like, that tells me everything I need to know about you as a leader. Because, like, I get it. You may not care, but it just doesn't make sense.
No.
Because half the people in the unit do care. And that's all they care about. Whether that's right or not, or standards or whatever, the entire weekend is going to be wasted because half your people don't care about being there in the first place because the game is on Sunday. So that's all they're going to talk about. You're going to be in classes. They're going to be, checking their DraftKings status. And so, you know what I mean? It's like there's going to be no focus on anything for those. The other half, they just want and hope to get out at 2:00 on Sunday because people want to go see the game. So they just want to leave. Yep. They just want to be done. So you have all these people who don't want to be here, extra don't want to be here this weekend. The roads are much less safe.
Yep.
Because when we're getting out at 6 and 7 o'clock, people are getting to bars to go see the game. Like it's a crazy weekend. Why not just do it on a weekend, the weekend after?
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I don't care. So they should be fine. Yep. Like I get it. But it's still a dumb move.
It is.
Do it on a different weekend. Nothing will get done that weekend.
Yeah.
And then you'll be bitching at everybody at 6 p.m. on Sunday that nothing got done when I told you nothing was going to get done.
It's never going to change. It's just the way it is, dude. It's been that way up until recent, too. I mean, 'cause I haven't gone to drill in fucking 6 months. I want to say it's 4 or 5 months, somewhere in there. My last drill, we had an ACFT. And
that's the new PT test,
yeah,
right?
Fucking joke, dude. It's difficult. It is, especially if you've got an injury. Like my left knee is. I actually spoke to the doctor because I was supposed to go overseas for this rotation with my unit, and I was like, "Listen, I can't go. Like it's going to create a huge conflict with my personal life, my wife mainly. So not only would I lose money on this deployment because I make more doing what I do now, but who's going to watch my daughter when my wife has to go to work? This isn't a good move. I can't do it." And plus, my knee's been acting up, which it has been. It's been getting worse. And they said, well, we don't care about the whole family aspect thing. The Army doesn't care. Okay. But you need to go see a doctor, get a doctor's note. So I did. I went and talked to the surgeon. I said, listen, my knee's loose. The what do they call that? The ligament, the donor ligament that you guys gave me is it's slacking off. So I could actually take my knee, and if I do it just right, I can get it to come out of joint and then go back in. Not normal, not supposed to happen. And the arthritis, the flare-ups, it's fucking crazy. He told me, you are not to run. If you run on this thing, I will see you in 10 years for a total knee replacement. And that was over 10 years ago. And he's like, yeah, your knee's not looking good. And he wrote up a note saying, whatever the fuck it said. I didn't really read it, but I sent it to the Army, and they're like, yeah, you're not on the deployment anymore. Don't worry about it. But it's just, I don't know, dude. It's frustrating because they genuinely don't give a fuck. That last drill I showed up to, the ACFT, it's all primarily lower body focused, and I don't have a permanent profile. I asked, how do I get one? Who do I talk to? Where do I send this stuff to? No answer. It fell on deaf ears. So I showed up. I failed it. I can't run on it. Everything else I passed. Like the other 5 events, I did no problem because they're not difficult. It's not hard. It's like 10 push-ups. 10 hand release push-ups is the minimum standard. You shitting me? That's fucking cake. The old school standards are way harder. You actually had to train for those. You had to do 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups. And it took every bit of them 2 minutes to get your standards. Now, dude, you do your 10 little bullshit push-ups and get up and fucking wait. And standing powerball throw, the sprint drag carry. That one's actually kind of difficult. You got to do a deadlift. Here, let me look it up. Let me tell you what they got on that new ACFT.
Well, we don't necessarily have to get into all that right now, but
I just want to show you what the events are. Look at this shit. That's all that.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a lot of shit you got to do.
Yeah.
It was so bad. They had. It was so bad that females were failing it. Way more than the males were. So they had to change the standards.
Well, I understand the desire because I argued for years that it should go to a more comprehensive skills base, but I still argue that they should have adopted something closer to like what the Coast Guard does, where you have a tiered system. So like your office guys have a certain PT test, your infantry has a certain PT test, and then like your Rangers have a different PT test. And they kind of do that because it's like in Ranger Battalion, you have to meet, or at least at the time, if the standard was 60, Ranger Battalion was like you had to be hitting 80s or 90s, or they booted you from Ranger Battalion. So like they kind of did that on their own. Yeah. But it's like the Army as a whole, you talk about adapting to modern times and stuff, especially when it's like you guys want to go to all drone warfare, and then you want to get mad about a bunch of people who don't run all the time. And it's like, let's make this make sense. Maybe something have a little more comprehensive. Obviously there should be a physical standard,
right? Absolutely,
but do something that makes sense.
It's a joke. The new PT test, the hardest thing is the run. Everybody else passes everything else. The run is what kills people, metaphorically speaking, but the run is the hardest thing to pass. But for females, anything that involves the core and upper body, they struggle with. And that's just the way it is. They used to have to do the minimum standard, they had a single leg tuck on that thing. That was the minimum requirements. The females couldn't do a single leg tuck. So across the board on active duty, when they were fielding that, females are failing across the board. Like folks that are in really good shape, you do PT 5 days a week in active duty. I mean, like you're PT stud and you can't do a single leg tuck. All right, so let's change it. And then now they add a plank, a 1 minute plank, and then people struggle during that too. That's a bitch. That was the longest fucking minute of your life, man. Man, it's just weird, man. The changes that have implemented, some changes needed to happen. Other ones I feel like were done in poor taste and poor judgment.
Yeah.
It's just my personal opinion. And it's not something I want to associate myself with anymore.
Well, that's another hard part too, is implementing these changes. Everybody wants the change to be made and they want to see the result, where it's like a lot of this is, I mean, you're talking even changing the Army's physical fitness test, and they're like, oh, why is it taking so long? I'm like, 10 years sounds like a good amount of time to, plan it, implement it, get feedback,
test
tweak it. So, I mean, it's like that will take a while, especially generations through. And you touched on something too that I try to help more people understand is the difference between reserves and active duty. And when I tell people that there are parts of being a reservist that are harder than being on active duty, they're like, oh, well, it'll be harder than being a soldier all the time. I'm like, listen, I'm not talking about pure, being an infantryman, but when you're a reservist, you're expected to meet the same standards, but you have a different job. And who knows what that job is? Construction, 12, 14 hours a day.
Yep.
You have a whole different lifestyle, and you have to keep your own physical fitness, where if you're active duty, you're going to PT several days a week.
Yep.
So, a lot of the stuff about just being on active duty, at least as a lowered enlisted, it's pretty easy.
Dude, you show up, you go to work. It's like any other office job.
If you show up on time, they're gonna make you run.
Yep.
As long as you don't eat just everything in the DFAC, you'll stay underweight pretty easily.
Yep.
So
you got a gym facilities all over, multiple locations on every base.
Yeah.
You don't
half the units may have their own little personal gyms on their compounds.
Yep. I've seen that multiple times over. It was like sandbags, ammo cans, stuff like that. Pallets cut up into weight benches and stuff. I've seen it all. But it's just the
resources to keep that going are much more readily available
for active duty. Your day is planned out on active duty. I mean, you don't have any expenses other than a car note or a cell phone bill. Everything else is paid for: food, water, rent, all that shit. Laundry facilities, you can use them on post. But those are fairly cheap. But if you look at a reservist who's, for example, let's just take myself. I'm a full-time police officer, and normally that wouldn't impact anything. But the problem comes into play. Every 4 months I go to night shift. On night shift, I work 12 hours. And having to go from night shift to day shift for a weekend, I go from babysitting adults for a living at work, and then I have to show up here and be treated like a fucking piece of shit. I'm entrusted with all this super secret squirrel shit that we have in the police department, and now you're telling me that I can't do this because I don't have the qualifications for it on the Army side, or it's trivial shit. And it's you have two lives essentially. You have your personal civilian life, and then you have your Army Reserve life, and your personal life doesn't stop. Neither does the Army Reserve life. But the problem is that sometimes one takes priority over the other, and it's usually your personal life that takes priority over the Army. And at some point, sacrifices have to be made, and it's usually at the detriment of your career. And I don't know about you, but the reserves never paid my bills. Ever. No drill weekend was like, damn, so glad I got that drill check because now I'm able to pay this bill. But where I make my money is in my personal life and my civilian job. I don't even, if it was between the police department and the Army, and pick the police department all day long. It's just, it is what it is. That's how I make my living. That's where the bread and butter comes in. And I feel like at the end of the day, I make more of an impact every day at work than I do in the reserves. I don't even call it drill anymore. I call it playing soldier, because that's exactly what we're doing. We show up, we sit in a fucking room for 12 hours. It's great. Thank you for my service.
You must be like a unicorn with your right arm patch in the Army these days.
Oh, dude, they're like, oh, what's that? I'm like, it's your deployment patch. How do you get that? You go overseas. Where are you at? Iraq. How was that? Oh, was pretty dope, to be honest with you, man. I had a blast over there.
Like, it sucked, but it was fun.
Yeah, dude, it was like a Stockholm syndrome, you know? I loved it over there. You can't leave. But yeah, no, it was I don't know. There's some good troops that are in now. And then there's some people that are just like, they shouldn't have even raised their right hand. They shouldn't have signed the paperwork because, they're not going to go anywhere. It's just a waste of time. But it is what it is. Fucking shit show. Big green weenie strikes again.
So you do the police thing now.
Yeah.
And you're a full-time police officer now.
I am. I love it.
And so that's kind of forming my question here is are you like a beat cop, or are you street cop, or?
I do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
The agency I'm with is real small. It's a jurisdiction of 2.2 square miles, population of about 2,000 people. So it's a blessing and a curse. We don't get a lot of calls for service, but when we do get stuff, like for example, hypothetically speaking, if I were to get a theft call, a call for service, hey, I got to go out to this house, talk to this gentleman. Hey, they stole all this stuff from me. Okay, so now at a bigger agency, you take the initial report, fill it out, submit it, turn it over to a detective, and then they work their magic there. I have to do everything. So I'm actually working a case now. I'm not getting the details, but it is I'm having to do legwork of a detective. So I get to wear many hats, which is it's cool. I get all that experience and then some. It's all hands-on stuff, which I love. And plus I get paid to be nosy. It's fantastic. So I'm actually working on this case now, and I'm actually doing things that I never thought I would do in this agency. Yeah. And it's dude, I love it. It doesn't feel like work. Even on the shit days where I get hammered with paperwork, staying 4 or 5 hours past when I'm supposed to go home. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
So you're living that what you love and you don't work a day in your life kind
Truly,
of thing right now.
I can say that because for the first 2 years of this job, I did it for free. I didn't make a fucking penny from that job. It was in a reserve program at the police department. So I'd work construction Monday through Saturday some days. Some weeks, Monday through Saturday, but most of the time it was Monday through Friday. We had the weekends off. And on my off days, I would show up at the police department and I'd do my 12-hour shifts to learn, get that exposure, get my foot in the door, and make an impression. Like, hey, this guy really wants to be here. He's here almost every weekend. Like, if we get a spot opening up, you're gonna get it, which is because you're here. Yeah. And we went on a month-long mission, and this is crazy how this happened. Just truly lucky. We had a month-long mission in Hawaii. It was supposed to be a 2-week annual training, but because of COVID, we had to go over there 2 weeks in advance. So they had to pay us for 29 days. So we had actually 28 days. So we went over there 14 days, quarantine in Hawaii. We couldn't leave the hotel. And then after that, quarantine, none of us got sick. We got temperature checks, all that stuff. We went to the port, Pearl Harbor, and we got to work. So during those first 2 weeks, dude, we got per diem. It's like over $100 a day. It's expensive as fucking Hawaii. And dude, I cleared, after everything was said and done, I cleared over $10,000 from that mission. Wow. Yeah. Sweet. And came back home, said, hey, listen, I just came back from a COVID hotspot. This is back when everybody still had to quarantine before you did anything. And I told my job at the time, I said, hey, listen, I got to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, and I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in. So do with that what you will. And they're like, okay, all right, we understand, but just come back to work. We'll see what we can do. And they're like, we'll let you do a week quarantine if you're feeling good by then. Just come back to work and we'll see if you can get back in the rhythm of things. And I said, okay. So the first day, they had transferred me to a new crew consequently because I'd gone for a month. And first day back, I didn't even get out of my truck. Pulled up on the job site, threw it in park, opened the door. I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing? This dead end fucking job, making $14 an hour, sweating my ass off for 12 plus hours a day. Fuck this. Shut the door, called my new foreman. Like, yo, I forget his name. I was like, is this so-and-so? He goes, yeah. I was like, hey, this is Mike, your new hand. He goes, hey, what's up? Where you at? It's like, heading home. I quit. Click. And I fucking left. That day, I went back to the house. I called my then sergeant at the police department. I was like, hey, listen, is anybody coming out? Because as a reserve for the police department, you had to call ahead, make sure no other reserves are coming out there to work, and if there's a car available, you can take the car and do whatever. So is anybody coming out? He says no. I was like, all right, cool. If it's cool with you, I'd like to start coming out for your guys' shifts. Any shift you guys work, I want to be on it. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll see you out there. Come on. And right about then, we had just gotten a new canine. And they're like, hey, listen, would you help us train this dog? We need a decoy. And me in my head, like, that sounds pretty fucking dope. Yeah, let me do it. And I didn't know that I was going to be getting bit by a fucking dog.
You got to go out in the big,
the
big EOD looking suit.
Yeah, man. I got bit by like 4 or 5 dogs. That shit, dude.
Is it as intense as they say? Dude, like you could feel through the much pressure?
You can. There's this dog we work with. He's this black German Shepherd mix. Dude, his head's like a fucking mailbox, and he's all black. And of course, they wanted to do all this work at night because it's cooler, and the dog's behavior really changes at night. And I'm thinking, fuck, this dog is all black. I'm not going to be able to see when to catch this motherfucker. And dude, he hits like a bus. And he loves to fight too. So I stick my left arm out because I'm right-handed. Because if I get hurt, and I'd rather be able to shoot still. But I stick the arm out, and this motherfucker, oh my god, dude, he bit so hard. I had bruises on my arms through the bite suit from his bite. And he was one of those that likes to bite, let go, bite, let go, bite, let go, bite, let go. They call it typewriter. He's like a little typewriter on my fucking arm. I was like, you little shit. And in the bite suit, you have to ball your fist up like this because the opening's like right here. It's like a little donut in the opening. And the dogs know where your hands are. So he would reach in there and try to nip my fucking fingers. He's like, you little shit. The more you pull away, the more they play, and then they get all amped up. But it was so much fun to work with those dogs, man. I got bit by like 4 or 5 different dogs, different agencies, different breeds, different experience levels from the handlers, and it was so much fun. And I did that for a while. I want to say for about a month straight. I was going out there, doing my thing, showing up whenever they worked, working with the dogs, doing whatever they asked. I didn't complain not one time. And they were like, hey, we're going to try and make a part-time spot. Would you want it? I'm like, fuck yeah. Are you kidding me? It's like, I've been doing this shit for free for 2.5 years. Yeah, man, I'll do it. And
police chief's like, this dude's been getting out here, been bit by a dog for a month straight. Like, throw him a bone.
Yeah. So they ended up taking it before council. They got it approved. I became a part-time cop. I was on payroll officially and doing what I love doing, man. And I learned so much during that those first 6 months of full-time actually coming out when you're supposed to, versus as a reserve where you're just like, you're kind of like a fill-in. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, go take this statement to that guy and bring it back when he's done. You're just like a gopher.
Yeah,
you're a gopher. And you do get exposure to calls. I mean, I was a shit magnet, dude, when I was a reserve. I would get calls that make my corporal go, you motherfucker.
You're the black cloud guy. Yeah. Like, no one wants to work on shift with you.
It was nuts, man. We would get calls at like 4:30, and the unwritten rule that my corporal had at the time was, dude, 4:30, put your blinders up, dude. Go right back to the police department. You wait till 5 o'clock, and then we go the fuck home. Because he always got stuck. When he was with me, we always would find shit at 4:30, and it was like a complete clusterfuck. And he'd have to stay till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night because I'm still having to do the paperwork, and he's having to teach me. He's like, new rule for you. At 4 o'clock, we go back to the police department. You don't do a fucking thing. It's like every fucking time you work, we get some shit that ties me up for 6-7 hours.
You go hide in the closet. Yeah. I don't want to see you the last hour.
Oh my God. We got a DUI one night, dude. It was like 3:45. She came blowing by us at like 57 and a 40. Pull out after her. She pulls into somebody's driveway and light her up. And like, do you live here? She goes, yeah, I live here. Yeah, I live here. I was like, all right, well, hey, just stay in the car. My name's Officer Tisdell. I'm with the so-and-so police department. That's why I stopped you. This homeowner comes out. Who the fuck are you? She don't live here? No, I've never seen her day before in my life. And then I got the odor of alcohol. I'm like, oh, shit. And she was drunk. She had I don't know, this is so odd. Usually when you hear somebody DUI, you think of like a beer or liquor. No, she had fucking wine in the box. Like, it looked like
the cheap,
yeah,
$4 one.
Yeah, the stuff that looks like
Salzia or whatever it's called.
Yeah, looked like the twist top for like milk. It looked like one of the old cartons of milk. And she had it cracked open, drinking it out of the box when she was driving. And she ended up going to jail for DUI and some other shit too that she had on her. But my corporal, when we were typing up the report, he's like, hey, hurry the fuck up, dude. It's like, he goes, it's almost 9 o'clock. I got to be back at work in the morning. You get to go the fuck home. I know. Come on. And it's just so fun. He's like, from now on, dude, that's it. 4 o'clock, 3:45, 4 o'clock, go to the police department. You don't see shit. And it was that way. And the reason he did that is because at the end of every shift, he had to do paperwork about how I did during the day.
Yeah.
Dude, I felt so bad for him. We get those later rests. He's having to teach me how to do the paperwork. And on top of that, he's got to do paperwork after that on me to see how I did. And it's just, it was a fucking clusterfuck. I felt so bad for him. But yeah, I love what I do, man. It doesn't feel like work at all. I get to work with kids. I love working the school zones. I get out there and I give the kids high fives, and I got a couple of kids that have since graduated. They're 5th grade. They graduated, but every day they would see me, they'd come up and give me a hug. Like, hey, can we turn on the lights in the car? I'm like, yeah, climb in there, dude. I don't give a shit. And I don't have a problem with it at all. Great kids. And when they would have bad days, their parents would come to me. They wouldn't. And their parents would be like, hey, listen, can you talk to so-and-so? He's having a rough day today. And it was great, dude. Just love talking to the kid. What happened today? This, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, well, hey, listen. No. And it was just great. The parents were like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey, listen. Hey, and listen to your mother while you're at it. Because, like, okay, all right, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just the impact you get to have on people, man. I love what I do. I'm sure when you were working EMT, you get to do something similar.
I had some, I didn't do it for very long, but yeah, I had some definitely some cool moments when we got to do some stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's just that feeling of accomplishment of like, damn, dude, we did that.
Yeah.
I did that shit. That was fucking dope, I never look back. I haven't. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would have done it sooner. That's the only thing. I should have done it sooner.
No. Well, yeah. You're there now.
I am. And I'm thankful for it.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. We've had some pretty crazy fucking calls, though. I will say that. I've got to deal with a couple of veterans that had PTSD and shit like that, and other people don't really know how to talk to them. I've had to do some crazy ass shit. Like, we had a call come in from OnStar one night about a severe crash. The owner's not responding. And typically with those, it's usually like a bullshit call, like somebody, I don't know, hit the brakes too hard or some shit. Well, this one came out and it was legit. 17-year-old girl had gone through a guardrail, inverted the car, and it was on fire. So we get there, we deploy 2 fire extinguishers, pull her out through the window, got her to safety. She ended up living. But it's just like thinking about that shit. I actually watched the video the other day with my brother. I showed him. He's like, "What's the the one question you don't ask a first responder? What's the craziest shit you've ever seen?" It's like, so I pulled it up and I showed him, and he's like this. He's like, "Bro, I felt like I was watching a movie." I was like, "Yeah, dude, that was pretty fucking intense, my guy." The adrenaline dump afterwards is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had a few moments where that happened to you. Just hit you like a ton of bricks. It's like, it's over. It's like, oh fuck, dude, I'm so tired.
But yeah, that's one of those things where, as I was speaking to someone the other day about just like doing these things that we've done, and there are people that's out there to say like the hero gene or whatever. Like, I don't know if I like that moniker, but yeah. but just like having the ability to, because even though I'm stay-at-home dad, I don't do a whole lot these days.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
I mean, I'm not complaining at all, but it's like when something goes down, like if I need to turn it on, I can.
Oh yeah.
Like I could still stay up for 3 days and make some stuff happen. I might crash a little harder these days than I used to, but yeah, it's just something like I was talking to a buddy of mine. He lives overseas, and he works in the tech world, and he does music and freelance stuff and all that. And we just got talking about jobs that we've had and how I worked retail for a long time. And he's like, yeah, what's like the most you ever worked? I'm like, well, if you don't count the Army, like the longest shift I ever had was 19 hours. And he's like, you're a fucking warrior, dude. Like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know, man. It was like, there was a job to be done. I just kept going.
Yep.
And, he's like, how'd you stay awake? I'm like, I'm pretty sure by hour 17, I was falling asleep standing up. But
oh, yeah. It'll hit you, dude.
But, I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I just do it, if it has to be done.
As long as you got something to do, you
put on another pot of coffee and let's go.
That's it. As long as you're actively engaged mentally, I think that's like the biggest thing. As soon as you start getting a little bit distance from it, you start to fight the sleep monster.
Yeah.
And he always wins. But yeah, dude. It's crazy to look back at all that, the last several years of my life, and to see where I'm at and where I've been and how much I've changed as a person for the better. It's such a great feeling to go from what a complete shitbag that I was. I mean, I got us into trouble a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that mission we were out at the annual training. It was like Transmariner or something like that. We were supposed to be protesters.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got bodied.
Yeah, dude.
Like, yeah, Tisdell, break through the fence. Okay.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think twice.
Smashed you to the ground.
Until I got body slammed by that big dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I felt a little bad, but it was also very, very funny.
Yeah. Take that, fucker. Take that. That'll teach you. No, it didn't.
Well, I feel like that kind of puts us at a natural little break.
Yeah,
and I very much appreciate you sharing your story.
Hey, I appreciate you letting me tell it. I mean, there's just so much that had happened over the last few years. So, I mean, it's a win-win. I get to get some FaceTime with you, talk about all the shit that's happened.
Yeah. So. Well, it's been good hanging out with you.
Likewise, man.
Thank you, man.
Look forward to the next one, I guess, if they'll have me back.
Yeah, if you think of more stuff you want to share, I'll do part 2s and
Hell,
stuff.
I'll jump in on an interview with somebody else. We'll cross-examine somebody. Where were you at Friday night? No, I'm just kidding.